Welcome to the Football Show on a Saturday. I'm Peter Martin. Tam McManus is here with me as we look over the Scottish Premiership and the lower leagues in Scotland, bringing you the half-time scores and, of course, full-time results with reaction from managers and players in the Scottish Premiership. The big news is undoubtedly at Easter Road, where Hibs are 3-0 up in Aberdeen at half-time. It's been a double from Josh Campbell, one from Ewan, and quite simply with the banner Goodwin out, I think the Aberdeen fans might get their wish by the end of the game, Tom.
They might get it at half-time. It's an appalling result at half-time for Aberdeen. You know, the manager, is probably looking out at that set of players on the pitch thinking, my job's in these guys' hands, and they've not turned up in the first half. Again, defensively woeful. And most of those players that Jim signed, so you can't even give the excuse that, it's not my team, it's not my players. A lot of the players that are on that pitch he signed, so he's got to carry the can for that. As I said, you can't sack 20, 25 players, although you probably could over the last couple of performances. But yeah, I think he's unfortunate we don't like to see anybody losing a job, but Jim will not be the Aberdeen manager at 6 o'clock tonight.
Yeah, so dismal time for Dons fans, and there's quite a few of them actually making the journey down there to the capital city, and they're just watching more misery unfold. It's 3 at the moment, it could be more. They can't defend set pieces from corners, they're all over the place. I mean, Josh Campbell, I think, must have thought it was Christmas, the amount of time he had to run onto his header. And then, of course, the second one from the corner from Joe Newell, and then Johan. It's so easy for them, and remember, Josh Campbell's put them ahead inside 10 minutes. So dismal times for Aberdeen, good times for Hibs, certainly good times for Lee Johnson. Elsewhere, it's Rangers 1, St Johnstone 0. It's a penalty from James Tavernier in that game, and the other scores: Ross County 1, Cormack 0. and St Mirren 1, Motherwell 0. So the story of that game at Ibrox, it's his 10th goal of the season. He scored, but St Johnstone are down to 10 men, Tam. Nicky Clark sent off for serious foul play on Ryan Jack.
Yep, that's a massive blow for St Johnstone. I think 1-0 down, you're still in the game. If you can hang on to half-time, 60 minutes, then you can have a goal. But Nicky Clark's obviously flew into a tackle, got himself sent off. So it's a long way back for St Johnstone. I think obviously at 1-0 you never know, but as soon as Rangers get the second goal, which I'm sure they will the second half, then the game's done.
And Todd Cantwell playing in that 3 just behind Morelos.
Yep, as we've not seen any of the game, but by all accounts, and listening to the radio, and he looks as if he's played well the first half. As I said, it's his first game. He wants to impress the Rangers support. He wants to go out and play well. First impressions can be lasting ones with supporters, so we'll obviously see later on how well he played. But listen, Rangers should go on and win the game comfortably now.
Yeah, elsewhere it's Eamon Brophy, who goes on loan to Ross County, and inside 10 minutes he scores against
He couldn't buy a goal by St Mirren.
Well, another thing is, he also couldn't get a game because of injuries that just curtailed him.
We spoke about it, listen, as an ex-striker myself who's had more than a few clubs, sometimes you just get, it's just a freshness, it's a fresh voice you're hearing, that somebody who, it's a fresh start for you, it's a new manager, put your arm around you and believes in you. And obviously Malky's pitched it to him, listen, you're going to come up and you're going to be my number 1 striker, I believe in you, you're going to score goals. And then lo and behold, first half on his debut, he gets off to a flying start for Ross County. So if Ross County can find a goal scorer, then all might not be lost up there, because I thought they were gone. I thought I've seen them a few times, they can't score a goal.
Yeah.
But if Eamon Brophy can go up there and score 6 or 7 goals, that could be a difference between staying up and not.
Yeah, by the way, and they need goals up there. They're in short supply. Curtis Main has scored his 4th goal of the season. Ryan Strain with a cross. Main scored it against his old side. Motherwell and St Mirren are a goal up in that one. I'm looking at the sides at the start of the game. I mean, Stephen O'Donnell, a Scotland international, is completely out of favour in that team.
Yeah, he is. They're actually playing young Max Johnson, who I know well, a young player who was another one who came from Braidhurst, Alan Johnson's son. He played with Scotland under 21s, very good player actually. So listen, maybe Stephen's just wanting a wee bit of freshness in there, a wee bit of youth, legs. Stephen O'Donnell's had a great career, but I think for his sake, if he wants to go and play the rest, somewhere for the rest of his career, he's got to get out of Motherwell, because I've got Paul McGinn obviously who can fit in it right back as well, so I think his days are numbered there.
Yeah, Stephen O'Donnell's a better player than Paul McGinn in my view, but it's open to debate.
It's Stephen Hamill's view that counts.
Well, I was going to say that to you. Well, it's Stephen Hamill's view that counts in a team that's losing, so I'm sure it strengthens his case. What's happened at Ibrox in that first 45 minutes? Let's get a flavour of it from Adam Binney.
Half time here at Ibrox Stadium. It's Rangers 1, St Johnstone 0. We've had a penalty, a red card, numerous VAR deliberations. So it's been a busy half for referee Willie Collum. Rangers took the lead after 15 minutes through James Tavernier on the penalty spot. A cross is whipped in from the right hand side of the St Johnstone penalty area. It was Ryan Jack went up to challenge for it with James Brown. It looked as though it just hit off the arm of James Brown. The referee pointed to the penalty spot. There was James Tavernier just to stroke it home to the left of the goal, but it got controversial just after the half-hour mark when Nicky Clark seemed to win the ball initially, but his follow-through caught Ryan Jack high up on the shin. Perhaps looked as though it was a slip at first glance. I've not seen it back. Didn't look like there was any intent from Nicky Clark, but there's no doubt he did catch Ryan Jack high up on the shin bone, so he was shown a red card by Willie Collum. It's interesting because that one didn't actually go to VAR initially. Willie Collum waited a few seconds before giving the foul, then waited to make sure that Ryan Jack was okay before showing the red card. And shortly after that, just 2 minutes later, Ryan Jack looks to probably go in retaliation to the tackle that he was just a victim to in on young Adam Montgomery. He catches Montgomery right on the ankle, comes steaming into it. Montgomery goes to the deck. Collum brandishes a yellow card for that challenge, but he's then encouraged to go over to the VAR monitor to check if there was a potential red card involved in that incident, but he didn't give it. He didn't give the red card. Ryan Jack had his head in his hands. It was already looked as though he was walking off the pitch. I think Ryan Jack thought that he was lucky to escape with that one, and then right at the end of half time, just to fit all of it into it, Drew Wright had a glorious chance. It was played through by Phillips, goes round Alan McGregor and goals. His goal's gaping, he's on his left foot, somehow he falls over the ball, misses and goes out for a goal kick. So it remains here at half time, Rangers 1, St Johnstone 0.
Yeah, well, that's good for the conspiracy theorists, isn't it? Willie Collum.
Ryan Jack was walking off and he walked back on again. You've seen Willie Collum going over at the VAR. He's not sending the Rangers player off at Ibrox.
Yeah, Jordan White scored for Ross County. They're 2-0 up now. I'll tell you, that's a real bonus. So that probably the first time Malky Mackay's actually just started to breathe a sigh of relief.
By the way, I think that could be not a bad partnership actually. Jordan White and Eamon Brophy. Eamon Brophy likes to run in behind and play off a big man.
Yeah.
Jordan can hold it in, he scores goals. So that could be a really good partnership actually that they've just stumbled upon.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, what was the story of that first half at St Mirren against Motherwell? Here's Patrick Mullen.
Half time here in Paisley, and it is St Mirren 1, Motherwell 0. The only goal of this half coming in the 15th minute. Ryan Strange received the ball on the goal line. He plays a slow driven cross to the near post, and there is Curtis Main, who gets there ahead of the Motherwell keeper and pokes the ball underneath him. Motherwell have been poor, no shots on target for them, and haven't really caused the St Mirren defence any sorts of problems. A big half-time team talk for Stephen Hamill. But at the Smythe Stadium, it is St Mirren 1, Motherwell 0.
Wow, no shots from Motherwell on target at all. That's dismal stuff.
Yeah, it is. Listen, I think that that's a game obviously Motherwell need to go and get something out of. I think the Scottish Cup game against Arbroath last week took a wee bit of pressure off of Hammy in terms of getting a win, but still in the league their form's dismal. So they need to go to St Mirren and get something out of the game, but it doesn't sound likely according to Patrick there.
Yeah, Ray Vaughan says Aberdeen have been hopeless. Ancelotti couldn't get a tune out of this mob. Harsh, Ray, but probably accurate on the basis that I think the biggest problem with them, apart from not having enough quality, the back line is woeful, Tam, but there is also a real problem with players that just cannot calm the game down, can't put their foot on the ball and start to pick some passes. At times the ball was up there and it needed a flight path.
Yeah, I think that Jim's signings, he's brought in Anthony Stewart, who I think has been terrible. He's made him captain. He's let him down a couple of times getting sent off, particularly in the semi-final. He's his linchpin, he's a centre-half, he's a centre of defence, and Aberdeen keep losing goals. It's not just obviously on him, but he's a major part of that. I like Scales as well, but I'm not sure he's a centre-half. So, listen, these guys are Jim Goodwin's brought in, so you can't even point the finger at Stephen Glass or previous managers. He's a lot of money to spend. He's brought all these players in, he's going to be judged on this team right now, and you'd have thought after Darvel, surely if you're a professional player, and I've been in dressing rooms before myself, you think to yourself, right, come on, we've got something to prove here. But they've been out and done the same again. They've just chucked it, and they've chucked the manager under the bus. And unless we get a miracle in the second half, a 3 each or a 4-3, then Jim's going to be walking out the door.
Tam, if Aberdeen come back and win 4-3 in the second half, I'm taking you to the first 3 Champions League games of next season. Is that okay for you?
Come on, Aberdeen.
Get
one, you never know.
There's an unusual line. Can't see it happening. Just a quick summary of some of the scores for you in the Premiership in Scotland. Here's a quick blast around the 4 games. Hibs 3, Aberdeen 0, Rangers 1, St Johnstone 0, Ross County 1, Cormack 0, and St Mirren 1, Motherwell 0. So dismal stuff for St Mirren against Motherwell for the away side, because they haven't had a shot in target. Ross County, I think Eamon Brophy, it's just a dream start with him scoring inside 10 minutes. James Tavernier, as he does, scores from the penalty spot. I think it's a skill, it's an art, it's something you practice and you get better at, and James Tavernier's one of the best.
Playing the practice as well.
Well, don't forget Tam's Twitter account. Just keep hammering him. Leave me over the last couple of weeks of madness. But I do think he's one of the best penalty takers in the country. You might disagree. Give us your thoughts on it. What about the Championship? Let's have a look and see how that's all squaring up. Cove Rangers 0, Ayr United 5 from last night, which is outrageous. And since Paul Hartley's got back there, I think he realises that the defence could be the problem. Dundee have missed a penalty, I can tell you, in their match. It's 0-0 against Queen's Park. Morton are a goal up in Arbroath. Thistle and Hamilton 0-0. And Wraith Rovers leading by a 1-0 against Inverness Cally Thistle. 5-0, Tam. That is outrageous. Away from home.
Yeah, great result for United. I think that Jim McIntyre will be sitting with a wry smile on his face. I think he probably deserved more time. They weren't doing that bad. He had one bad result, against Inverness, and he paid the price. I think Paul's been in the mind of the chairman, the owner, for a while, and he's brought Paul back in, but I think they've lost something like 19 goals or something in the last 4 games. So he's got a big job on there, because if Hamilton and Aki start to pick up points and maybe Arbroath, then they can get dragged back into it again. Yeah,
absolutely. Latest scores from Scottish League 1 for you, just to keep you right up to date. Airdrieonians 3, Alloa 0, Clyde 1, Dunfermline 1. The reason why I'm getting all nostalgic for the Clyde 1, Dunfermline 1 is Shawfield, a lovely piece by Stephen McGowan in the Daily Mail today. Shawfield will be no more. If anybody's walking past it, they should get the old photograph of it before it disappears completely. It'll probably end up a block of flats. FC Edinburgh 0, Falkirk 0, Montrose 2, Kelty Hearts 1, and Peterhead 1, Queen of the South 0. Quite sad to see Shawfield go. I'm a bit nostalgic about it.
Have you obviously been to the Dogs, have you?
Yeah, I haven't been to the Dogs. I'm not a gambler at all.
I've only been to Dogs. I'm not a big dog person, but I've been to Dogs a few times, and that was a staple diet. A lot of Glaswegians, wasn't it? Go to the Dogs on a Saturday night, a few beers, have a few bets, but yeah, you're right. It used to be obviously Clyde playing there. It was long before my time, and I think it is sad, because it's an institution in Scotland, isn't it? Shawfield, for people not only in football but for dog racing as well. It
was an institution, and certainly it was the staple diet for people of a certain age to go to the Dogs on Saturday night. For me, it was Maxwell Plums, then on to the Cotton Club, and then if things weren't working out there, fire over to Paisley and see if I could get the last one in there. I'm sorry, Tam. That's the way it went, And I'd phone McAvenny and say, "Where are you? What club are you in? Can I join you?" Partick Thistle 0, Hamilton 1, Dylan Stevens after 54 minutes. What about League 2? Let's give you a quick summary of what's happening in Scottish League 2. Albion Rovers 0, Forfar 0, Annan 1, East Fife 0, Dumbarton 1, Bonnyrigg Rose 0. They've gone to the Dogs as well, Tam, since we did that after dinner night up there. Stenhousemuir 1, Elgin City 0, Stirling Albion 0, Stranraer 0. So that's how it looks right across the board. And incidentally, it's the Scottish Cup 4th round, the English FA Cup 4th round, I beg your pardon. Last night, Man City put out Arsenal. What a goal from Nathan Aki. I mean, a centre half, and he curled it low. It was a daisy cutter. Yeah,
it was a great finish. Decent game, actually. Both teams played pretty strong teams. I thought Man City probably just about deserved to win the game, but I don't think it'll make any difference in the title race, but it was great to see both managers going head to head, because I think they're still to play each other twice in the league, and they could be crucial games.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jimbo says Doug's, Tam. Doug's, yeah.
Doug's.
Well, to be fair, Jimbo, do you want Tam from East Kilbride to try and be posh? I mean, it's just not happening.
Balornock.
Exactly. It's even worse. Balornock. Balornock man pronounces dogs properly. Shambles. I can see the headline now. Jimbo, calm yourself. And also, quite a lot of people are worrying. I'm wondering about it as well, Tam. What's happening with the beard at the moment? I'm almost looking at it and thinking you really don't know what's happening. You're maybe looking towards Wurzel Gummidge, and then all of a sudden you've gone back. What's happening with it? Do you know what you're doing with it?
I think it's a midlife crisis.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to get an earring next. I think I'm going to go Charlie Nicholas. We go to an earring for a show next week.
Yeah. Well, the good news is, because of most of my mates that come from this area, if you get an earring, we're going to kick the living daylights out of you. You need to have a long, hard look at yourself. I do know a couple of. I know, but Charlie can get away with it. Charlie looks cool.
Charlie.
Even if Charlie gets to 70, he'll still look cool with an earring. We used to actually want to get into a pub that he used to get into when we were kids.
Cafecine?
Yeah. Well, we were at Cafecine and Maxwell Plums.
Oh, was that his as well?
He used to wear the leather trousers and the gear. I mean, Charlie would look great in a bin bag, whereas I looked like a bin bag when I went out, but he looked cool.
I can remember going into Cafecine when I was about 19, 20, and just being into the team at Hibs, and Charlie, obviously I think he owned Cafecine, and he was behind the bar, must have been doing a bit of work or whatever, and he had a sparkling big diamond earring in.
Yeah.
I thought one day, that'll be me.
Oh, I thought. Well, when you said to you from Balornock, I thought you were going to say one day I'm going to steal that earring from his ear. Okay. If the goals fly in anywhere across the country in Scotland, we'll keep you right up to date with what's happening, and certainly the main scores. I can tell you it's Queen of the South 1, Peterhead 1. Rory Payton has scored that goal in the 55th minute of the game. So, as you can see, as the goals fly in, we'll try and read out some of your points of view as well. It's always good to interact with you as well. We don't mind taking pelters too, because every now and then we do get that. And Paul Brady really has, I think, threatened us with the most serious situation here. Tam, he says, if Tam gets an earring, I'll have to watch the Beeb. Now that really is ripping the back end out of it, isn't it? And now let's go over to the BBC.
Get a wee hoop.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can tell you there's goals coming in right across the divisions now. So stick with us on a Saturday, 4 o'clock till 6. And you will hear all the goals. And I can tell you it's FC Edinburgh 0, Falkirk 2. And Callum Morris has got that goal there. So
it's good for the Coopin, Peter.
Yeah, you got Falkirk on it?
Falkirk and the Coopin.
Yeah, I think Ruffy and I are actually going there to do their
I've seen that,
we're doing their sports dinner sellout.
Aye, great stuff.
Just telling you, the big man's still got it. He's back on Monday. Right, everything's good. Okay. He's had the full check and
antibiotics, or did he have to get the wee injection?
No, he was fine. He just antibiotics. He's back on. He's fighting fit. You know what he's like. He's a warrior. It's as simple as that. So,
I spoke to my mum. My mum and dad watch the show all the time, and my mum said I have to stop saying to Ruffy about croaking it.
Yes, they're not happy about it.
No, my mum says you better stop saying that to a big Alan, because in case it happens.
In case you get it right.
I know.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I'm not going to say that again about Ruffy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like the way your mum's thinking about it. It is quite scary for him. You know what he's like. He's a big warrior. Anyway, the other good thing that we've got going at the moment, and this is the last day and your last chance really, and thank you to so many of you who've not only subscribed to the YouTube channel, but you've also posted the answer to our competition, and you've just actually posted as a photograph of you subscribing as well, which is really kind of you. We do value your support, and we're going to give you that last chance now. Here's the competition for you.
PLZ Soccer has teamed up with one of Scotland's leading sports artists, Gio Thompson, to give you the chance to win the signed print of Celtic star Jota. To win with the chance of winning this fantastic prize, all you have to do is answer this simple question: which country does Jota come from? Leave your answer in the comment section below, and to double your chances of winning, don't forget to hit the subscribe button on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. Good luck.
Raith Rovers have taken the lead against Inverness, so that's just beyond the hour. They've got that goal from Aidan Connolly, so they're 1 up.
Yep, good result for Raith Rovers. I think Ian Murray, ex-pal of mine, ex-teammate, at Hibs, doing well at Raith Rovers. I think they'll have aspirations to get into the top 4. Lewis Vaughan obviously back from injury, had real injury problems. Very, very good player. So I think Raith Rovers could be in the mix as well, round about the top of the league. But that Queen's Park Dundee game is a crucial game. With United winning last night, I think Dundee need to win that game today against Queen's Park. If Queen's Park win, they go 8 points clear of Dundee. That's a big gap. Yeah,
well, and they've got the quality. It's amazing, the transformation in Queen's Park with a bit of money behind them. Airdrie Onions 4, Alloa 0. So Airdrie comfortable in that match now. All 3 points assured against Alloa. Let's not beat about the bush with that. And I think at the end of the game, certainly it'll be interesting to see if Jim Goodwin actually comes into the press room. And I can tell you, Ross County are 3-0 up now, so they are coasting there. They're going to get all 3 points. Well, not only that, I have to tell you that you're now starting to. I thought it was a really good article this morning from. Rangers are 2-0 up. Glenn Kamara has scored. That's a bonus for him because Glenn Kamara's kind of just fallen off the radar a wee bit, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has, but I think that under the previous manager wasn't getting a game, Van Bronckhorst, but I think under Michael Beale, he's back in the team, he's playing well, great for him to get a goal. But it's amazing, just that one signing, the Brophy signing, has gave Ross County a massive lift. He scores early in his debut and they're going to go and win the game comfortably, but if you're a Kilmarnock supporter, you're very, very worried at the minute because they have got the worst away record in the league by a mile. I'm not even sure if they've picked up a point, maybe 1 point, maybe 2 points, and that's not going to keep them up.
Yeah, it's hard to believe it's Glenn Kamara's first goal of the season for Rangers, but he's got it. They're 2-0 up, and I think that will be all 3 points. I'm sure the main point of consternation will be that challenge from Ryan Jack, which I think maybe the player thought he was going to be sent off. Willie Collum certainly didn't, and he stayed on, got a yellow. But Nicky Clark, I don't think, can have any arguments. His tackle merited the red. St Johnstone down to 10 men. Rangers in the box seat. Tavernier had scored from the penalty spot. And that second one from Glenn Kamara, I think, almost certainly will reduce Celtic's lead at the top to 6 points before Celtic, of course, go to Dundee United. We'll hear from Ange Postecoglou a little later on in the programme. We'll also hear from Liam Fox. And let's not forget Robbie Nielsen. We'll hear from him as well because of the two games that we can look forward to tomorrow. Livingston against Hearts. We'll hear from David Martindale as well. It's been a good week. Sometimes they say any kind of press coverage is good. It can be construed as people are talking about you. People are talking about Livingston. I'm not sure Davey was too happy with somebody recording his half-time team talk, but everybody's actually taking it in a positive manner about what he was doing.
Yeah, listen, I think that's management. You've got to be able to do that to your players. You've got to be able to get in there and roast them when it's required. I think you've seen one of his players, Stephen Kelly, last night as well, coming out and saying, listen, it worked. We needed a rocket at half-time. Players need that. Sometimes you can go out and you can get through the motions, particularly against a lower league team. Livingston have probably went out against Stenhousemuir and thought, listen, we're playing Stenhousemuir, it's League 2, we'll just go out and cruise this game. Doesn't work like that. And obviously David Martindale wasn't happy at half-time. He let them know. And within 15-20 minutes of the second half, they were 3-1 up. So it worked. I don't think you can do it all the time. You pick and choose your moments to do it. But on this occasion, it worked. And as I said, I don't think anybody's got any problems with that. I know that the world's changed in terms of, people don't like people shouting at each other in the workplace. You'll still have people who think, you shouldn't be shouting at players, or shouldn't be shouting at people. But sometimes in any walk of life, you need a rollicking, and that was one that was merited.
Yeah, well, I have to say to you, let's not kid ourselves. It didn't disappear. It's just that it's not reported as much. Yeah. There are some managers, maybe even in a situation at the top end of the Premiership, where there are some players who are on that much money, and really, there's a kind of a feeling as if don't talk to me that way. But if some managers have moved on, some still adopt the David Martindale attitude. In fact, I would consider more than we possibly think. We'll look at it at half-time, Tam.
Absolutely. You've seen Pep Guardiola a couple of weeks ago against, was it Tottenham at home? They were 2-0 down, and after the game he came out and says I went in and had to. It didn't say that in those words, but you can tell Pep's went in and absolutely roasted players.
Yeah.
And they came out and won 4-2. So sometimes it's merited, and at whatever level you're at, players. need a jolt sometimes. You need to get jolted into action, and that's what's happened. I've had it in my career as well with managers, and as long as it's not done all the time, you know, if you get managers shouting and screaming and bawling every week, eventually you're just going to switch off to it. It's not going to have any effect. But if you do it now and again, it can have a big effect.
Yeah, thanks to so many people who are posting messages on our Facebook feed as well. We thought we would just throw that out as well on Facebook, the Saturday programme, and give you a little flavour of what the whole thing's about. I can tell you Arbroath have equalised in their match, so that's now 1-1 in that game. So if there's a goal in any of the matches right across the Scottish Premiership, Championship, League 1 and League 2, we will keep you right up to date with it. And I can tell you that Ross County's goal makes it 4 teams at the bottom on 20 points in the league table. I mean, now we're at the harum scarum, and the reason I'm mentioning that to you is because, quite simply, suddenly there is a moment, Tam, when everybody starts looking at teams and says, okay, let's have a look at your form. So the main 2 have been Lee Johnson for a period for losing 2 Edinburgh derbies. Definitely Jim Goodwin for that dismal run and being knocked out of the cup by Darvel. And then you're looking at saying to yourself, 6 on the spin. This is going to be 7 on the spin for St Johnstone with Callum Davison. And now Derek McInnes and Kelly are right in the mire. 3-0 against Ross County, and Kilmarnock, you know, now hit the bottom of the table.
Kilmarnock need to get signings in the door. I don't know. I don't think they've got enough quality up front. Kyle Lafferty, you know, done great in the Championship. You know, a couple of times Premier League. I'm not sure he's got it now. He scored 10 goals in the Premier League. Christian Doidge has not scored a goal for 2 years. I've seen him at Hibs. He's at least 2 years off it. He's not scored a goal for Kilmarnock. They've signed the boy Vassell, who's not scored yet. So if you're a Kilmarnock fan, you're very, very worried about the firepower. I think defensively, midfield are okay, but in the final third, I think they're poor, and I think that could cost them their status. And you've got Motherwell down there as well now. You've got St Johnstone pulled back into it. So all those clubs just shows you one result. Ross County, there's a wee gap down there, 3-4 points, one result, and they're all looking over their shoulder again.
Yeah, Kilmarnock would be bottom on goal difference. Then you've got Ross County, then you've got Dundee United, then you've got Motherwell. St Johnstone would be only 4 points above them by the end of it.
How many points Aberdeen above?
Well, I was just about to say to you, Aberdeen are 29, and they are now heading down to 7th in the table. So that gives you an indication of where it is. And let's not kid ourselves here. Jim Goodwin will be lucky to hang on to a job tonight, which is a sad situation. I really do feel for Jim. But I can tell you it's Dundee 1, Queen's Park 0.
That's a big goal.
Williamson scored that goal for them. That's a huge goal.
Peter, that is a huge goal. I mean, obviously as an ex-Dundee player myself, I want to see them back in the Premier League. I think they're a big club. They should be in the Premier League. I'd like to see them going up this season.
Yeah.
That could be a huge goal for them because Queen's Park have been flying, and that would put them right in the mix again. United winning as well. Partick Thistle losing. Morton drawn, so all of a sudden I think you're going to have 3 teams now pulling away to go for the title. Queen's Park, Ayr and Dundee, if it stays the same.
Well, Dundee would be 2 points behind Queen's Park with a game in hand.
Yep, and if Queen's Park won that today, it was 8 points. So it's a massive game, and you know, if Dundee can hold on now and win that, then I think it sets up for a great end to the season. Yeah,
interestingly enough, you know, you were talking there about Kilmarnock. Kyle Lafferty started on the bench. And in the end, you wonder if his conduct over that 10-game ban has really put them, you know, down there where they could have been. You know, they may well have had a cushion of maybe 3-6 points that he would have scored a goal in those 10 games that maybe won them a game. But now with the 10 games out, even though he's been training, as you know yourself, match fitness is totally different.
Yeah, I think it's unfortunate it came at a time where Kyle was in the team and doing okay. Listen, he's got to do his time. You know what he said was out of order. You know, he served his ban, and but he's came back in, and as I said, it's very difficult to get back into game mode. It's okay training every day, but you've got to play games. And sadly for Kilmarnock, he's taken a wee while to pick up speed. I think the only thing he's done of note is the assist for Maeda in the semi-final. So no, I think that Kilmarnock seem to be in a bit of bother.
You always remember the negatives, don't you? You're unbelievable. Thanks to so many of you. Well, Jimbo says, and he's just said, Queen's Park are the next Gretna. I'm not quite sure that's going to be the case, Jim, because quite simply, Queen's Park have got a wealthy backer in Willie Hockey in the background there.
I don't think they would be too dissimilar to Livingston.
Yeah.
You know, I think Livingston's average home attendance, somebody can maybe tell us, maybe around about 1,000, I would say, maybe 1,000 to 1,500, maybe not as much as that.
Yeah.
I think Queen's Park, if they got into the Premier League, would average about 1,000. Plus, you would have all the travelling supports. I've seen their stadium at Lesser Hampden. It doesn't look that big. You know, one of the it's obviously not finished yet, but I don't know how many that would hold. But I think they can sustain it with. Obviously, they've got a lot of money behind them with Willie Hockey. He's got big, deep pockets, so I think they'll be fine. But it's just interesting to see how far they can actually go. If they can go all the way to the Premier League after being an amateur team for over 100 years, it would be some effort.
Yeah, absolutely. I have to tell you that right now I'm looking at a situation where I think a number of Aberdeen fans will just be simply wondering if the axe is going to fall on Jim Goodwin at the end of the game. I don't know about you. I'm not buying into this whole Aberdeen situation of being a huge big club, because I think they've had one Scottish Cup win over that 20-year period that really you would have expected more from them. I thought they had a real chance to really have a go in the league when Ronnie Dyla was the Celtic manager, because I thought Celtic were poor. But again, they bottled it, crashed in October. I'll never forget that league season. They just crashed, couldn't win a game, and suddenly their title challenge was gone. And I think now, you're in the 40th anniversary this year of the Gothenburg greats, players who were moulded by Fergie, were battlers, had a siege mentality, but more than any of that, they all had quality. You had your Peter Weirs, you even had your Ian Scanlons that I loved. You had your Neil Simpsons, you had your Mark McGee, Eric Black, Gordon Strachan, Stuart Kennedy was an international right back, Doug Rugby was top drawer in the left back, and then you had Miller and McLeish. Everything about that side was absolutely rippling with quality and a desire to win. Now, I'm not saying that Aberdeen can attract that quality of player, but their signings and the recruitment has been poor. Now the management decisions have been woeful. I mean, I know he's your pal, but Stephen Glass was wrong at the time, and now Jim Goodwin can't get a trick out of them. I actually think it's going to need somebody who already has a lot of experience and won't tolerate anybody dictating other than him for signings, for going to look at players, for then the recruitment of them, for being promised a budget, and then from there, over and above that, controlling everything. It needs somebody to go in and say, I control everything. I don't want any outside influences.
But that's not the way it seems to be that the American owners want it.
Well,
you look at not only Hibs. I know Dave Cormack's not American, obviously, but he's American backers. The board and the money's coming in for America. Dundee are the same. They want to work in a different way, and I don't think it's worked at any of the clubs. Dundee in the Championship at the minute under American ownership. Aberdeen struggling, Hibs struggling. Dundee United, struggling as well. So yeah. I think it's going to take something like an American owner just to get back to basics and let the manager, pick the players and the recruitment, pick the recruitment staff and them going out and players rather than them seeing it. This is not America, this is Scottish football. It's a different way we work here. And you've got to go, and Hearts are a perfect example for me.
Yeah.
Signing British players, English speaking players, a real core of British players or English speaking players with Australians as well, and look how well they're going.
4-0 Hibs. Kevin Nisbet scores the goal. Obviously he's come off the bench. The Millwall deal collapsed and suddenly he's back at Hibernian and he scored the goal. 4-0 off the back of the Darvel, off the back of Hearts, tonked them by 5-0 as well. I mean, at the end of the game, I wonder if he'll even survive walking up the tunnel. He's not going to resign, by the way. Managers don't resign.
No, I wouldn't resign. If I was him, I'd wait till they paid me off. He signed a contract, it's not worked out. I don't think he's going to walk away with it, but that is the final straw. I mean, you look at players, you look at the board, they've had a meeting with Jim. And Jim's went in and said to the players, listen, I need a reaction, and they've just absolutely thrown him under the bus again.
Yep, Dundee 2, Queen's Park 0. So the Dens Park men have got all 3 points, I would suggest.
I would hope, don't be speaking too soon, but I would hope they go win the game now. But that could be a key win for them this season. I think Queen's Park have been flying. And that was a game that Dundee had to win, so hopefully they can hold on the last 10-15 minutes and get 3 points.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are commenting on the Aberdeen situation. It is dire. I mean, listen, they're heading down into the bottom half of the table, but I think when you look at the performances, look at the state of the team, look at the way the whole thing, from Stephen Glass onwards as well, after Derek McInnes left. I mean, some people would say be careful what you wish for, but I think a lot of Aberdeen fans had enough of the way Derek actually, had Aberdeen playing. I thought, at times it's very cautious, safe, and Aberdeen wanted much more than that. They wanted to be entertained, and they were part of one of the worst finals I've ever seen in my life. Against Inverness, it was absolutely dire, and they won it in a penalty shootout.
Yeah, listen, it's a real bad spell if you're an Aberdeen fan. A lot of the Aberdeen fans wanted Derek McInnes out. As you said, it was a staleness up there. I was probably the one that thought, maybe get somebody else in, somebody fresh. I think the owner thought that as well. But it's the old adage, innit? Be careful what you wish for, because as I said, they were top 3 and 4 every season. Yeah. Second, obviously Rangers weren't there, but they done really, really well under Derek McInnes, and they've went down a different route to try and entertain the fans and spend money and bring in more entertaining players, but it hasn't worked, and it's going to be fascinating to see who comes in next.
So many good stories going about, never mind the managers potentially getting the sack, players coming back. A really good bit of news. It's been a year since Yanis Hadji pulled on a Rangers jersey in the first team. He's come on as a substitute. Huge applause, and rightly so, because this is a boy who's had a bad injury, had to work hard, had to actually work hard to get back. And I think a lot of people are hoping he can replicate some of the really good form that we witnessed from him in flashes.
No, I think he's a very, very talented player. I think he was a big part of Europe under Steven Gerrard. He plays in that number 10 role. I don't think Rangers have kind of had a player like that. He obviously comes from great stock. His dad was some player, as we both know. No, I think that when you look at it, he's going to come in and be a big player for Rangers. They've also got Lawrence to come back in. So they've got some decent players to come back in Rangers, and that would strengthen the squad.
Yeah, let's not mince our words here. He's the greatest Romanian player that's ever lived, Hadji.
What a player. That Romanian team, was it USA 94?
Yeah.
And they dyed their hair. Dumitrescu and Popescu, Radiceu, the striker. That was one of my early memories, Romania, and what a team they had.
Yeah, they were absolutely fantastic. Just on the Aberdeen situation, I don't think he's going to survive, which is a sad situation.
No chance.
But what will be? What would you think? Who do you think? I'm looking at it. I'm saying to myself, it's of the managers that are out there. Is it a Paul Lambert? His name's been in there. Neil Lennon's been mentioned for the job. Are there other candidates that you're saying? Gordon Strachan's another one that I heard. Are there other candidates that you think would be ideal to go and just reignite something in that?
It's difficult off the top of your head I think the two names you mentioned are the two favourites of the bookies, Paul Lambert and Neil Lennon. Obviously Neil knows the Scottish game well with Celtic and Hibs. I think he'd done well with both. So I think Neil would be one.
Martindale?
David Martindale. For me, David, I think he's very much capable of going to a bigger club. But we spoke about with Big Ali last week. Does he want to go to another club? He's comfortable at Livingston. He controls everything at Livingston. He controls the ins, the outs, recruitment, and he's got the full backing of the board. I think he's got a great thing going at Livingston, but there's obviously going to be a ceiling at Livingston. I think, if say Livingston finished 4th this season, next season, how can you cannot better that with the budget he's got.
Well, it's a Malky Mackay moment. There is a moment when you have to get out while you're hot, I thought Malky should have got out last summer when he'd achieved some really good results with Ross County. He'd managed to get a few really good players on loan. And they weren't getting relegated, and then you suddenly get a situation where, as Malky mentioned, he said the reason why this job is so difficult is because you are constantly having to change the team again, and that because you're taking in loans, there's players that don't belong to you. Then you've got to try and attract players who've got to go up to Dingwall and embrace that area, which, by the way, may I say, is a fantastic area to live in. Up Dingwall and Inverness, and mentioning Inverness, it's Wraith Rovers 2, Inverness, I'm just looking, 2, the equaliser. Billy Mackay, there's a name from the past. Billy Mackay scoring for Inverness, so it's 2-2 there now. Inverness is a great place to live. Not for obviously guys like you and me, because we don't like to be too detached from your family and everybody else. but it's still a place where lots of people have gone up there and thought, I really enjoy this. Different lifestyle.
It is. I had a real opportunity to sign for Inverness when I was at Dundee, and I left Dundee. Charlie Christie was the manager, and Donald Park was the assistant. And Parky phoned me and they wanted me to go up there, but I just thought it was too far away.
And probably really for Inverness, they've dodged a bullet, because if you'd have joined them, they'd have been liquidated. You know what you're like, Jonah.
They'd been big trouble in Inverness. So for Charlie Christie and Donald Park, that was a near miss. And for Motherwell as well, with Terry Butcher, as you know, I could have signed for them, very close to signing for Motherwell. So those two clubs got a lucky escape. Yeah,
and let's not forget, Motherwell, the run they're on is poor. And they're behind to St Mirren.
It is, and I think as long as you've got that wee 4, 5 point, 6 point buffer between you and the bottom, then I think the fans don't really turn that much. But I think tonight, if they go and they get beat off of St Mirren and Ross County win and they're level in points, there will be beds getting wetted all over Motherwell. They will be bottling it.
Thanks for that, Tam. I really didn't think that was the kind of analogy we were looking for. For everybody to think about it, but nevertheless, I think there'll be a few people whose bottles crashed, but whether they go to that extreme, who knows, but they definitely need something in the game. Incidentally, we'll give you another chance to win and enter the competition a little later on. Don't worry about that. I can tell you it's 3-0 Dundee now. You happy? Any
I'm
fight
delighted.
back?
No, I think that should be us now, Peter.
Right,
not a problem, but listen, wonderful result for Dundee. United put the pressure on last night. Queen's Park flying, long unbeaten run. And look as if they're going to go and do the business.
We will have our full-time reports from Easter Road. We'll also hear from Patrick Mullen at St Mirren and Adam Binnie's out there at Ibrox watching Rangers secure all 3 points. I don't think St Johnstone are going to come back from 2-0 down with only 10 men in the park. But as ever, there'll be a few contentious points that we'll discuss. We'll hear from Ange Postecoglou, Liam Fox ahead of Dundee United against Celtic. I'll get Tam's thoughts on that as well. And also we'll be looking at Livingston against Hearts. Can Livingston derail a club at the moment that seems to be everything's rosy in the garden around Hearts? They're holding on to Toby Sibic. The manager's come out and had a wee blast at Blackpool. As far as Dundee United are concerned in their match against Celtic, I think the general feeling is, can this group of players avoid another heavy defeat the way Celtic dismantled United earlier on in the season, albeit under Jack Ross. Annan Athletic 3, East Fife 0. And Max Kilsby has scored that one in the Scottish League 2. 5 minutes to go now, approaching full time across the country. And it'll be the late show if Motherwell are going to get anything from their match. They're a goal down to St Mirren. Curtis Main scoring the goal. Ross County, Eamon Brophy with a debut. He's on loan there. And interestingly enough, Stephen Robinson did mention that he wanted to keep him. Obviously, he didn't want to sit on the bench, but he wanted to keep him. But he was forced into actually letting him go on loan because of the pressures of trying to reduce the budget that he has.
Yeah, obviously St Mirren came out the other day with their figures to the year, and I think they'd lost a lot of money, over £1 million. So, listen, I think that we spoke about it yesterday. Eamon Brophy, I think, would have been on decent money. I think he signed on a free from Kilmarnock, which was a bit of a weird move. So I think that St Mirren must have given him decent money, good contract, and they'll be delighted to get that off the wage bill, even if it's just to the end of the season. And you've got some promising young players at St Mirren coming through as well. Kieran Offord, a young player I know well. So I think they'll be happy that they've shifted him off the wage bill. And it's a fresh start for Eamon as well, and he started off brilliantly with getting a goal in his debut.
Yep, absolutely. It's really a lonely time to be a manager if you're under pressure. I just wonder, trackside, what is going through the mind of Jim Goodwin now? Because he'd have been shaking his head at some of the defending in the first half, and then once the goal goes in from Nisbet, I think you're just standing there knowing that you are on your own. You're the man that carries the can.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a situation that I've been in. It was probably Stephen Kenny at Dunfermline, now the Island manager. We came down from the Premier League and we were favourites to win the Championship, and we were languishing mid-table and there was no playoffs at that point. And we played 3 games. We played Stirling Albion away, we get beat 3-0. We played Hamilton Accies at home, we get beat 5-0. And then the third of that, we get beat 4-0 off of Livingston at home. And he gets sacked, obviously get sacked straight up. That was 3 games, 3-0, 4-0, 5-0, we get beat. And I can remember him standing at the side, looking over. We were 4-0 down to Livingston, who had Snodgrass and Dorrans running rings on us, 2 young players. And Lee Griffiths was there as well. And Stephen Kenny must have just known, just standing there, we're getting beat 4-0, I'm getting sacked, we've just been beat 3-0, 5-0, 4-0. And you get the chop that night. So it's a lonely place for a manager, and he had to walk. Stephen had to walk, Dunfermline, the home fans are behind that goal.
Long walk to that press room.
And I can remember just put my head down because the Dunfermline fans were going bonkers. And luckily for Jim, he just got to turn and get into the tunnel. He doesn't need to walk by those away fans.
Yeah, absolutely. Peterhead 1, Queen of the South 3. They were 1-0 down at half time, so that's a really good fight back there for Queens. It will be a long walk. Whether he actually turns up in the press conference, only time will tell. Whether they actually wield the axe. And I agree with you, they should have done it right after the Darvel game.
They should have done it, Peter. I mean, even if you win the day, you get beat next week, it's just a
day of execution.
Yeah, it's a day of execution. It's just time, and he's got no reaction whatsoever out the players today. They've not went out and fought for not only for themselves but for the manager. They've just went out and just chucked it, beat 4-0, and Jim's going to pay the price.
Yeah, absolutely. Just some scores of note in the FA Cup. It's Accrington Stanley 1, Leeds United 3 full time, Walsall 0, Leicester City 1. It doesn't quite have the sparkle that it used to have at the FA Cup. Now I can tell you there's a penalty in the match at Easter Road. So 4-0 to Hibs at the moment. So whether that penalty, I'll just tell you who it's for. But it's Aberdeen who've got the penalty. Hold on a minute. No, it's Hibs who've got the penalty. I'm just looking. Looking at the notes coming through. Obviously, it made me look stupid. But it's Hibs who have the penalty, and Liam Scales has been sent off for Aberdeen. They're down to 10 men.
That's twice he's been sent off. Does he not get sent off for he gave away a penalty against Porteous?
Penalty. I have to say, Tam, I mean, it just goes from bad to worse. Down to 10 men. Thank God there's only a couple of minutes left.
They've chucked it. They've absolutely chucked it. I mean, you go and get beat possibly 5-0.
You can't lose 5-0 to Hearts and 5-0 to Hibs.
Oh, that's just I mean, we're all talking about Jim Goodwin. He's a manager. He's got to carry the can. But the players are an absolute disgrace.
What about Josh Campbell? Hat trick, 5-0.
Brilliant, delighted for him. Takes a bit of stick for the Hibs fans.
Yep.
He's not a flash player. He's not going to go and beat 3 and 4 players and put it in the top corner. But he's a worker. He's a grafter.
Yep.
I think he's been a regular under the previous 3 managers. I know Gary Caldwell, Sean liked him, liked his attitude. Jack played him, gave him his debut. Now Lee Johnson's playing him, so he's got something about him. And absolutely delighted for him to get a hat trick. That'll be probably the only hat trick he'll ever get for Hibs, you would think.
Yeah. Well, that's a real confidence booster to him.
Well, he's a kind of sitting midfield player, so well played.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. And I have to say, with Liam Scales being sent off, the misery compounded. And remember,
Sam Cow never put too much money on Aberdeen.
I can't believe I tipped him to win 1-0. I mean, they're absolutely spineless. I actually thought to myself, surely to God they've got some fight in them for the manager.
A bit of backbone, get a reaction, but they've got nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
Insipid, spineless.
And remember, he's on loan from Celtic, so I think. I think
give her a penalty and get sent off. Give her a penalty at the start of the season.
Yeah, and the next manager coming in will just start to offload some of the dross There's too much. There's too many people up there who are absolutely mediocre. I can't say they're not fit to wear the Aberdeen jersey, because that would suggest that Aberdeen have some stature. You know, it's just not there now.
Do you know who brought him down for the penalty? Who he brought down for the penalty? I hope Scales never brought down Fish. That would be interesting.
Yeah, that would have been interesting. I thought it was Josh O'Connor, and the reason why we didn't want to tell you is because we knew you'd never be able to link Scales to Josh O'Connor in any capacity whatsoever for a rotten gag. But you know, listen, so many people now are just saying it's an absolute nightmare for Aberdeen. Jim Goodwin, will he survive to the end? Will he survive by 6 o'clock on this show? That's the big question, because everybody will be in that press room wondering, is he going to come in? It's certainly a good day for Lee Johnson. There's the flip side of it all.
Yep, I think you've got to give a bit of credit to Lee Johnson. I think that he's had a rough couple of days. You know, he's lost Porteous, he almost lost Kevin Nisbet. Kevin was on the bench today, and a lot of supporters were fearful if they lost the two of them. But I don't think that Hibs are in any danger. I think there's 3 or 4 teams that are worse than Hibs. You know, I don't think Hibs are great. But if you're saying to me, do I think Hibs will get relegated or finish the bottom 2? No, because I think they're better than Ross County. I think they're better than Kilmarnock. I think they're better than Aberdeen. I think they're better than St Johnstone. So I've said this all season. I can see Hibs finishing maybe 6th or 7th, just mid-table, but no threatening 3rd or bottom.
What a big result for Ross County. They've defeated Kilmarnock by 3-0. Brophy with a debut goal on loan there up at County. And I think right now, lots of people, David Russell says Aberdeen board will already have their statement typed up. And Anne, equally so, reckons that he won't survive till 6, maybe 5:30, and he'll be gone. It's a sad situation up at Aberdeen. 2 managers haven't been able to, and can I tell you, Will Fish has just made it 6-0. He might not even survive till 5, and 6-0. That's ridiculous.
That is an absolute capitulation from Aberdeen. It is, honestly, it's so embarrassing. And those Aberdeen fans, wow. If they can go on the pitch, I think they would. I think they'd go and kill the players. Imagine if this happened in Italy or something, or Turkey. They'd be on the pitch. The fans would be on the pitch, and that's just rubbing salt.
I am really I'm gobsmacked by that whole thing, because this is probably the lowest, I think, for Aberdeen in many a year. And in a year that I did mention that for the 40th anniversary, the 1983 Cup Winners' Cup and Super Cup winners, Aberdeen players, will all be getting back together for a couple of really bumper nights for Aberdeen fans to celebrate in it.
No, you up to them, Peter?
I'm going to go up and but the funny thing is, in a strange sort of way, it was one of those teams that I really am lucky enough to call a good 5 or 6 of them good friends.
Aye.
So they were a fantastic team.
Was Andy Watson part of that? No, was he younger than?
No, Andy Watson was latter. You know, he didn't.
So
really.
I wonder how the link up between him and Alec McLeish came. Was it Aberdeen?
Yeah, Aberdeen. Yeah, really good pals. Right. And I think Kelty Hearts might have a go back in their match against Montrose. And it's Montrose 3, Kelty Hearts 3. That's a late equaliser for Kelty Hearts. Nathan Austin, the former Inverness player, has scored for Kelty. 93 minutes, right into injury time.
Yep, good result for Kelty to get a point out of it.
Yeah, I have to say, you know, it may well take, it's got to be a special manager. It needs to be someone who can go in there and rummel them up, and obviously it needs to be someone who comes in on the 28th of January and somehow asks Dave Cormack, can I have 2 signings? Can I have something?
I think if you're just say for example a Paul Lambert or Neil Lennon, right, you're out of work, and you know for a fact that this job's coming up.
Yeah.
You know that he's going to get sacked.
If you haven't been tapped already.
Yeah, if you haven't been spoke to, you've surely got players who you can maybe bring in, who you could maybe think about.
Yeah.
You know, bringing in, and you've got the free agency market, which is no ideal, but they've still got that. You know, free agents that could maybe come in, but wow, 5-0, 6-0. And then sandwiched in between Darvel.
And it's full time. It's full time, and I cannot believe I'm saying this. Hibs 6, Aberdeen 0. I think Jim Goodwin will be sacked by Aberdeen by the end of today, or at least within the hours. You can pick anyone you want in a raffle, but quite simply, I think it's a dismal day for Aberdeen. It's a sad day for Jim Goodwin. I'm almost certain that they will pull the plug on his reign as Aberdeen manager. Can they get someone in who can steady the ship? Because it really now is a situation where there was still a really good support heading down to Easter Road in that away stand. And they'll be looking at this and thinking, it's just absolutely incredible. And it's full time. St Mirren 1, Motherwell 0, and the bad run goes on for Motherwell. I mean, that is something like 2 wins now in 15 games.
Yes, it's another manager, sadly. As you know, he's a good pal of mine. Sadly, he's going to be under increasing pressure as well. They sink to the bottom of the league, with levelling points with a few other teams. And, you know, Stephen's got to change the result quickly. And I thought today, I had a draw in the predictor, I thought today they might have, because they've actually been a lot better away from home than they have been at home. If they're having to rely on home form, Motherwell, they're in big trouble as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That predictor's going to be interesting, Tam, because we've made a few mistakes along the way. I've got nothing from Hibs Aberdeen. That was just stupid. I can tell you.
2-0 to Rangers, was that final score?
Well, if it's 2-0, I've got 5 points for that.
Hopefully Rangers got another goal there.
Still playing. Let's hope Rangers just make it 2-0 and shut up shop. And don't forget, Tam's on Twitter as well, if he keeps mentioning penalties. And the game between Clyde and Dunfermline is Clyde 1, Dunfermline 1. It's
full time.
So there you have it.
Falkirk are winning.
Scottish League 1.
Can we change it to top of that league?
Full time in the Championship. Dundee 3-0 against Queen's Park. Greenock Morton 1, Arbroath 2. The fight back there from Arbroath. Partick Thistle 0, Hamilton Accies 1. And then Wraith Rovers 2, Inverness Cally Thistle 2. So share of the spoils there. It's really tight. It's been a good day for Dundee.
It would be interesting to see if Blair, I don't know if they can get the league table up on the screen, or they can tell you the league table, or we can have a look at it, to see the bottom 3 now, because Cove Rangers for me I thought were miles ahead. Now you've got Hamilton have just back-to-back wins, Arbroath have won, Cove are getting hammered. I don't know what the gap would be between the bottom 3 now. Blair could maybe tell us, but I mean, what a result for Hamilton Accies to go away to Partick Thistle. And there's another manager we're talking about managers under pressure, Ian McCall. You know, Partick Thistle started the season flying, you know, and they've you know, I think they've maybe dropped out the playoffs now. So yeah, that's a poor result for Partick Thistle.
Yeah, I tell you, Billy's made a good point here. You better phone Andrew to see if he's okay. You remember Andrew Shiny from last year?
God. I mean, because we thought last year was bad. Well, imagine it's even worse.
I can't even believe that we got Andrew on to report from Aberdeen to maybe give it a lift.
Have they won a game since we got him on?
I mean, there were periods where I thought we were going to have to talk him off the cliff because he was absolutely, couldn't believe.
Right back Stephen Glass. I'm phoning Glassy tonight. Come on, come back and save them. Come on, Glassy.
I don't know about you, but it's one of those situations where. It's one of those situations where you're just looking at it and wonder who can turn them around, who can change their fortunes. And don't forget, if you are on our feed on Facebook, or indeed if you're on our Facebook and YouTube, make sure that you keep the conduct above board and decent, because 99% of the fans that we have on the feed are absolutely football fans who love their club and want to talk about football in a positive manner and certainly not use any foul language. So we'd be delighted if you could keep that up. We try and ban as many as possible. Full time, Rangers 2, St Johnstone 0. Great to see Hadji back. Tavernier scored from the penalty spot. Kamara has got the second. There was a red card for Nicky Clark. Whether there should have been a red card for Ryan Jack is something I think we'll all talk about in greater detail on Monday.
Yeah, we will. Listen, there's a handball penalty kick and there's a contentious red card not given. So I'm sure we'll see it tonight on Sportscene or whatever, or on other channels, and we'll make our own mind up. But I think if you're a Rangers fan, you're maybe a wee bit disappointed. You're playing the full second half against 10 men, and you get one goal to show for it and a penalty. I think you would. At least I have no idea how Rangers played, but I think a real proper Rangers team go and win that 4 or 5-0. Playing against 10 men for a full second half.
Let me relay the facts here a minute. Full time, Falkirk 1 and FC Edinburgh 1. Falkirk 2 is a full time there. I'm just getting that now. That's confirmed. I think if you're a Rangers fan looking at Michael Bielsa to come in, you're absolutely delighted, because He's inherited a team. He still wants to build it. He's got Todd Cantwell in there, and I'm sure the Rangers fans will have something to say about him on Monday's show and how he performed. You've got Hadji back. You're still to get potentially Suter coming back at some point, but you've got the goals going in. They've only had one draw since he came back, and that was the Celtic game.
No, they have. Listen, they've been very consistent.
A win's a win.
A win's a win.
As Gordon Strachan said to me, what's the secret of being a Celtic manager? And he said, it's quite easy. I tell every manager who ever takes the job, win again, and then win again.
Yeah.
Anybody who suddenly comes out and says we want to win with flair, excitement and all that is great. It's absolutely fantastic. It's a bonus for the Celtic fans hearing Ange Postecoglou, but he knows it's win, win and win.
Yeah, listen, they close the gap, albeit for the time being. Celtic obviously Dundee United tomorrow. They close that gap, but I just don't see Celtic and Rangers dropping many points against any of the other teams. So I think that gap will be the gap at the end of the season. I can see Rangers, until they come up against Celtic, or vice versa, not dropping any points, because I just think outside Celtic and Rangers, Hearts are a good side, but underneath that, I don't see any quality from the other teams to go and take points off of Celtic home and away. Yeah,
it's certainly going to be quite an interesting discussion on Monday's programme. I hope you can watch us for that one. And quite simply, lots of people, if you want to give us your thoughts on your team and how they performed today, we're more than happy to read out your messages. As ever, on the programme, we pride ourselves over 10 years of being a balanced, uncensored and of course unmatched programme. There's certainly nothing like PLZ soccer going across Scottish football other than fighting against the big guns of the BBC. 5 days a week with the programme 4 till 5, and of course on a Saturday as well, 4 o'clock till 6 now. We've got Kerry's preview on a Saturday morning, and we've got lots of features and one-to-ones. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel and you can join us, and quite a lot of people, fair-minded people who are sensible, have joined us from all the clubs, all the fans who love their club and want a balanced view on it. So quite a lot of people are talking about their team and how they played. A dominant display against St Johnstone, 2-0, happy up on the feed. Martin Weir's gone 6-0, oh my God. Martin, I think we are also saying, oh my God, we can't believe 6-0. And I don't know about Jim Goodwin. I don't even think he comes in. Does he bother coming into the press room? We'd love him to be in there and say, look, here's the deal. But I think Dave Cormack will have actually just met him.
I think he'll know anyway. I think he'll know, Peter. I think he'll know. I don't think there's any doubt. As soon as that third goal went in, I think he's looking out in that pitch and seeing the players, and he's thinking to himself, they are not going to dig me out a hole here. I am done. And it's got highly embarrassing at the end, 6-0. You got to go down there. Aberdeen always take a big travelling support. The big support down at Tynecastle, a big support today. 5-0, 6-0, and then you've got a shocker against Darvel, probably one of the worst results in their history in between. So there's no doubt for me he's getting the sack, and unfortunately Aberdeen are going to be looking for another manager. Yeah, we will get a report from our reporter out there at Easter Road. Claire Kinnaird has been watching that match unfold, all 6 goals, and of course a manager now facing the sack. I don't think we're being untoward suggesting that is imminent. Elsewhere, Rangers 2-0, a win over St Johnstone reduces Celtic's lead at the top to only 6 points. St Mirren managed to win against Motherwell by a solitary Curtis Main goal. And up at Dingwall, Ross County 3, Kilmarnock 0. There are 2 games tomorrow to look forward to. Dundee United against Celtic, and over and above that, we've also got a match that's tasty between Livingston and Hearts. Interestingly enough, you want to enter our competition, still time. Here's Kerry to tell you all about it.
PLZ Soccer has teamed up with one of Scotland's leading sports artists, Gio Thompson, to give you the chance to win the signed print of Celtic star Jota. To win with the chance of winning this fantastic prize, all you have to do is answer this simple question. Which country does Jota come from? Leave your answer in the comment section below, and to double your chances of winning, don't forget to hit the subscribe button on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. Good luck.
Des Halliday says David Martindale would be stupid, daft to take the job. Aberdeen's a big job, Tam. It's a club. I know the people in the background. It's a brilliant club. It's a big club as far as potential is concerned. They just haven't found a manager to realise it.
Yeah, and listen, the expectations at Aberdeen are very, very high, and I think it's a difficult job. You've seen how well Derek McInnes done, and towards the end they were kind of hounding them out. They wanted them out the door. A lot of the majority of the Aberdeen fans. Same with Hibs and Hearts. You know, it's very difficult to go and compete with Celtic and Rangers. For me, you've got 2 cups you can win, and then you've got to try and finish third in the league. You know, and if you can do that, then I think you've had a good season. Jack Ross wasn't far away from doing that. You know, we got to a semi-final, got to a cup final, finished third, and then 10 games, 15 games later he was sacked. So it's a very, very demanding job. Social media has made it even harder for managers. Everybody's got a voice and an opinion, and it's just a difficult job, but I still think that it's a big job and a lot of people will be interested in it. I think Paul Lambert, Neil Lennon, guys you spoke about, there might be somebody outside the box who maybe wants to come in, but it's going to take a big effort for Aberdeen now to get them in that, to keep them in the top 3 or 4 this season. Yeah,
good win for Ross County, 3-0 against Kilmarnock. Now draws them, there's 4 clubs all level on 20 points at the foot of the table. Kilmarnock hit rock bottom. What about St Mirren Motherwell? Patrick Mullen watched that match.
Full time here at the Smythe Stadium, and it has finished. St Mirren 1, Motherwell 0. It is 12 games unbeaten here at home for Stephen Robinson's men. The only goal came in the 15th minute of this one. Ryan Strain with the ball inside the box on the goal line. He played a low driven ball to the near post, and there was Curtis Main who got there in front of the goalkeeper to poke the ball underneath him to give St Mirren the lead into the break. In the second half they did switch off, but Motherwell struggled all day to create chances. Their first shot on target coming in the 70th minute, and they couldn't convert it. Later on, McKinstry had a great chance to give them a point, but a great save by Carson meant that St Mirren stayed ahead. It's a first win for St Mirren in 2023, but they go up to 6th. For Motherwell, they stay in 9th and without a win since October as pressure builds on Stephen Hamill. Full time here, it is finished. St Mirren 1, Motherwell 0.
Yeah, pressure does build on Stephen Hamill because he's got to try and get a trick out of this team now, because suddenly, as you mentioned, it's all right if you're starting to look at the table and think, oh, we're not in there. They're in the mire.
They're in the mire now, and as I said, a lot of Kilmarnock fans, Motherwell fans, even St Johnstone fans now, you know, with that wee gap, Ross County were well behind, but Ross County, you know, picked up a big win today, brings them closer to the pack. And there'll be a lot of unhappy supporters at all those clubs tonight. You know, I don't know Motherwell's next recent run of games, but Stephen needs a result quickly. You know, he needs players in. He's obviously got the Japanese player. I don't know if he was involved today.
No,
he wasn't. His clearance never come through. So you know, he's got to get him in the team. He's got to try and get another couple in. So Kilmarnock as well. So, listen, there's no really any clear favourite for me. Dundee United obviously still down there, but they've picked up under Liam Fox. Tough game tomorrow, obviously Celtic, but you know, you really couldn't pick one at the minute. Definitely going to go down. I think Ross County, Dundee United, Kilmarnock, St Johnstone, Motherwell. I think that they all could finish, you know, bottom or second bottom. I think St Mirren will be okay. I think Hibs will be okay. Ultimately, I think Aberdeen will be okay, and they got a new manager in. But there's 5 or 6 in the mire at the bottom.
Yeah, you're talking about Kilmarnock, rock bottom on goal difference on 20 points. Ross County, with that win today, lift themselves off the bottom, and will that be the climb away? Dundee United, you wouldn't expect them to get anything out of Celtic. They've got 2 games in hand over County and Kilmarnock, but you wouldn't expect them to get anything out of Celtic at Tannadice tomorrow. Stranger things have happened. Remember, they get absolutely thumped earlier in the season by 9-0. Motherwell can't buy a win. 20 points, they're there, and St Johnstone only 4 points above them, and I'd tip St Johnstone to get relegated, Tam. Ruffy's...
You better get your slip down, you're up for that slip up.
Well...
your bookie slip was down there, better go and get it back out, it's still alive.
I was going to say to you, Ruffy has been adamant throughout that Kelly are going down, and by the looks of things, you know, not that you wish anybody to go down, but he's in the box seat.
You can just imagine Big Ruffy sitting in his big chair now. That result comes through, Kilmarnock gubbed, sitting with a Lars gin, thinking, I told you, 2 plunkers they were going down. I think if you're a Kilmarnock fan, you're starting to get very, very worried, because their home form's been good, but away from home they've been terrible. So it's all to play for down there. As I said, there's 4 or 5 clubs. St Johnstone before the break were on a great run of form. They were in the top 6. And now they're 4 points off the bottom.
Tam, let's go to Ibrox and hear what Adam Binney has to say about Michael Beale's team recording another win.
Full time here at Ibrox Stadium. It has finished Rangers 2, St Johnstone 0. After a chaotic first half and a tame second, Rangers walk away with all 3 points in this one, with goals coming from James Tavernier and Glenn Kamara. Tavernier gave Rangers the opener after 15 minutes from the penalty spot. It was James Brown that was penalised for a handball incident inside the area before Tavernier dispatched from the spot. On the 33rd minute, Nicky Clark was shown a red card after he appeared to slip. Initially won the ball, but his follow through clattered high into the shin of Ryan Jack. Looked like a sore one. Willie Collum sent him off for that, but then Ryan Jack came up with a revenge challenge of his own just 2 minutes later, catching Adam Montgomery on the ankle, but he escaped with just a yellow card. In the second half, Rangers extended their lead through Glenn Kamara. Fantastic work from Todd Cantwell and Alfredo Morelos to combine to let the ball run through Morelos right beyond the defence of St Johnstone. There was Glenn Kamara just to roll it past the goalkeeper. In the end, finished here at Ibrox, Rangers 2, St Johnstone 0.
Yeah, good win for Michael Beale's side. Great to see Yanis Hadji back there. And Todd Cantwell was probably looking and thinking to himself, you know, he's been at Norwich and it looked all good for him, and then he kind of lost his way, and suddenly he finds himself in front of 50,000 fans. He'll be thinking, I'll have a bit of this.
Yeah, listen, it must be great for these players coming up from England. Listen, we know the riches in England. You know, we can't match that, even Celtic and Rangers. You know, there's players who leave Celtic Rangers and go to Norwich and Brighton and teams like that. So, you know, financially we can't, but in terms of a size of a club, Rangers are massive. And he'd have seen that today, walking out, you know, 50,000 fans there every second week, every home game. And he'd enjoyed the atmosphere. Obviously a comfortable win for Rangers today. But with Yanis Hadji coming back, you know, and I think maybe playing a similar position than Cantwell, so I think he's got to play well to stay in the team, because he's got a quality player breathing down his neck. But that's what Rangers need. Celtic have got that, the other side of the city. You know, they get real competition for places. Rangers don't quite have that yet, but the more players they get back from injury, Hadji, Lawrence, you know, increases the competition, increases the pressure on the players that are in the team. And you know, you've got to play well to stay in the team. But you know, sadly James Brown gave the penalty away, so he must have not felt good.
Yeah, absolutely. That's gag number 375 on page 52, and the video is coming out soon, because Paddy sent a message saying, "When's the video of Tam's gags coming out?" I think it could be a 2023 Christmas video of all the rotten gags that he's decided to go for. Anytime he can sneak one in, you can see it coming from a mile away. I was looking at your face there and I thought, here come the wheels. I can see it now going. It's going down to it's coming in his brain. It'll eventually get to his. Mouth, and that's him. Okay. Once again, I did mention to some people we are going to ban a few people who are quite simply using foul language, and we've just banned someone there for that foul language. We do ask you to try and keep it clean, and we try and read them out as many as possible. Somebody says, "Why don't you do a phone in?" Yeah, I need a phone in like a hole in my head, Tom.
We've got you can text in your.
You can make
anybody who wants to ask us anything, fire away.
Fire away. You win prizes. You can ask us anything you want, but of course, if you can, try and keep it sensible about your team. I know there's a few noise ups. By the way, the great thing about the programmes, whether it be a radio programme, television, or of course our feed on YouTube, is you can put your point across. We don't mind people interacting with each other and having a good noise up. There's still room for banter. It's just there's no room for abuse, Tam.
No, there isn't. Listen, you know, people want to come on, they want to listen to football. You know, there's a lot of expats, obviously a lot of people here in Scotland. You know, it's something different that we do. You can interact with us, you can ask us questions. You know, you can agree with us, you can disagree with us, but as long as it doesn't go over a line. Jim
Goodwin has been sacked with immediate effect. I don't think there was any way out of it. It's just been confirmed, and the Aberdeen manager has gone.
Yeah, well, I think there's no surprise there. I think as soon as they get into the dressing room, I think Dave Cormack or whoever was at the game would have come in and tapped him on the shoulder and says, "Can we have a minute?" And that would have been undone. So, listen, I think it's sad to see anyone losing their job. I think that when you look at the stops that they pulled out to get Jim Goodwin, you know, they went to St Mirren, they paid a big compensation fee for him, they've backed him heavily. He spent over £1 million, Peter.
Yeah.
And that is a lot of money for a club out with Celtic and Rangers. You know, they've signed some players and they've just not been good enough. And today, he's seen that when he's looked out in that pitch at 3-0 down, even at 1-0 down. Have they got the minerals? Have they got the bottle to come back? Are they going to fight for themselves, for me? And the resounding answer to that was no.
Yeah, you can read more on that on our social media channels and, of course, on our website as well. But it's been confirmed by Aberdeen. He's been sacked by Aberdeen after a run of unacceptable results since the World Cup break. The club confirms it has parted company with Jim Goodwin and first-team assistant manager Lee Sharp with immediate effect. What prompted it all? Well, our reporter Claire Kinnaird watched the game between Hibs and Aberdeen.
It's finished here at Easter Road. Hibs 6, Aberdeen 0. The first 2 goals being scored in the first 15 minutes by Josh Campbell. The first one came from an Aidan McGeady shot that Joe Lewis palmed towards Campbell, and the second came from a Newell corner. A third just before half-time from Johan saw Hibs sitting nicely heading in towards the break. 5 minutes after Kevin Nisbet came on, he took claim of a fourth as he went one-on-one with the keeper. Aberdeen went down to 10 men at 85 minutes after Stales took down Nisbet in the box. Josh Campbell stepping up to take that penalty and claiming his hat-trick. 2 minutes later, Will Fish secured the 6th as he headed the ball into the net from a dangerous free kick. At the start of the match, the Dons fans held up a banner saying Goodwin out. Could this be the case now? Hibs 6, Aberdeen 0.
Yeah, that was Claire reflecting on the overall 90 minutes, and in the last few seconds it has been confirmed. And when you look at Aberdeen overall and the performances, it's been absolutely dismal. And I think there's a catalogue of games and moments throughout the season, Jim Goodwin's reign this season, that have, I think, annoyed a lot of Aberdeen fans. In February of last year, he said, "It'll take me a week to sort out the defensive problems." That's come back to haunt him because he just couldn't sort it out. And this season, you have a situation where they parked the bus against Celtic until Callum McGregor eventually managed to break down the red wall. They were 2-1 up against Rangers going into injury time, and Rangers won the match at Pittodrie by 3-2. They lost 5-0 to Hearts, and this was Hearts who didn't look as if they were out of second gear. I watched that match, and then, of course, the real pressure arrived with the game against Darvel, because quite a lot of pundits, fans were looking at that game, and of course, former players just worrying whether Aberdeen were going to be knocked out of the Scottish Cup by a team in the 6th tier of Scottish football, and that is exactly what happened. They knocked out Aberdeen, Darvel, and celebrated by 1-0 down at Darvel. But the bigger problem arose when Dave Cormack decided to stick by the manager. The wording of his press release in midweek, that statement from Aberdeen, suggested it was, really a game-by-game basis where Jim Goodwin had to get something out of the Aberdeen side to show some kind of fight. It didn't materialise in the next game at Easter Road. It's finished 6-0. And I've catalogued quite a few incidents there, Tam, that really kind of irked the Aberdeen fans. And let's not forget, over and above that, they did have a half-decent performance against Rangers, but still ultimately went out. More often than not, they had a team that couldn't defend, and they also had poor performances from individuals and as a collective.
Yeah, I think you've hit the nail on the head there. I think that the 2 big games for me were Celtic just after the break. Listening to the hard run when they just come back for the break, they had Celtic and Rangers. The Celtic game, their set up to that game annoyed a lot of Aberdeen fans, annoyed a lot of neutrals. When you set up to park the bus at home at a club like Aberdeen, it's not acceptable. You've got to go and have a go. Listen, I understand it a little bit away from home, but at home, in front of your own punters, when you set up so negatively, you don't have a shot on goal, you don't have a shot on target, you don't have a corner in the game. You basically just sit in your own half for 90 minutes. That's not what fans pay to watch. So, and then they get done the last couple of minutes with Callum McGregor. He might have got away with it if it was 0-0. He might have got away with it. He didn't. And then straight after that, Rangers, 2-1 up into injury time. And they lose 3-2, too late, Scott Arfield goal. So those 2 games he'd never recovered from. Those 2 games have set the rot set in from those 2 games onwards. A decent display, as you said. The captain lets him down massively, getting sent off. He gets sent off away to St Mirren as well. So that's been a disaster for him. Not only signing him but making him captain. And then they've just chucked it. They've absolutely chucked it in the last 3 or 4 games. Hearts away, Hibs away, Darvel, not scored a goal, 12 goals against. There was no way back for that for Jim Goodwin, and sadly for him he pays the price. But as I said at the start of the show, a lot of those players he signed, Peter, and as a manager I think you've got to have 1 or 2 windows. You know, he's been able to bring all his own players and he spent fees on players. Miovski's been a relative success, scored goals, Duke, but a lot of the others have not been good enough. And listen, it's his team, and it's he carries the can for it, sadly.
Yeah, and I don't think you can tolerate it if you're an Aberdeen fan when you see St Mirren and Livingston and their budget above you in the league, and St Mirren
Aberdeen spent a fortune, Peter.
Sorry?
Aberdeen have spent a fortune this season.
Yeah, and
big wages as well.
But I'm looking at St Mirren, who are a point ahead of them, having played a game less, Tam, right? Now, not only that, but Stephen Robinson's confirmed they've had to let Eamon Brophy go because they're trying to balance the books. David Martindale at Livingston is sitting 4th.
He was the same yesterday, and he said that he's going to have to trim the wage bill a wee bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
And they're paying, I'm not saying buttons in terms of a working man, but they're not paying a lot of money compared to Aberdeen, Hibs, Hearts.
Yeah, and of course they've won 1 game since November, Aberdeen, which is absolutely dismal. And let me tell you this, Tam, which makes it even more galling for a number of people who will be looking on, is Aberdeen have a huge travelling support, and some of them still have been travelling in great numbers to watch it.
Yeah, they have, and listen, supporters are loyal, you know, and the Aberdeen fans, no matter how well they're doing the travelling numbers, they've always got big supports down here to St Mirren, Celtic, Rangers, Kilmarnock, Easter Road, Tynecastle, you know, Tannadice. Their travelling support's been massive for years, and you know, a big support travel down today. I think most of them vent abuse at the manager and probably the chairman. But it's not acceptable to go out and get beat 5-0, 6-0 at a club like Aberdeen, to go down to Darvel. No disrespect to Darvel, but you're playing a team in the 6th tier of Scottish football, and you go down there, and it's not even as if Aberdeen battered them and were unlucky. You know, they weren't. Darvel deserved to win. So I think that it was always going to boil down to today after the statement, and nothing but a win was going to do for Jim Goodwin today, and a 6-0 defeat was chopping board.
Yeah, absolutely. We will go over all the scores from all the divisions shortly for you to let you quickly check the coupon. It used to be something so huge in the 70s and 80s. Check your coupon and see if you could win $1 million.
That was the pools, wasn't it? That was the pools.
Absolutely. Yeah. Check the pools, see if you could win $1 million, change your life forever. Some people say now $1 million wouldn't even scratch the surface of getting you away and get yourself a wee flat in Spain and being able to retire. It's changed days. People are now wanting to win 160 million. As far as the story goes in the Scottish Premiership, Jim Goodwin's been sacked off the back of that scoreline from Easter Road. Hibs 6, Aberdeen 0. Rangers with a good win against St Johnstone, albeit Saints down to 10 men, but Rangers scored through James Tavernier from the penalty spot, and then Glenn Kamara added a second, and the red card was for Nicky Clark for a bad tackle on Ryan Jack. Ross County 3, Kilmarnock 0. What a debut for Eamon Brophy. Scored in 10 minutes of his debut up there for Malcolm Mackay, and that just set them on the way, and that win has taken Ross County off the bottom, and Kelly have hit rock bottom. St Mirren 1, Motherwell 0. More misery for Stephen Hamill, and questions will undoubtedly be asked about his managerial prowess after that defeat today. St Mirren getting the all-important goal through Curtis Main. So they've got their 3 points, which takes them into the top half of the table above Aberdeen, which for many Dons fans is just unacceptable. What about the Sunday games? We're looking forward to them. Of course, by the time the game kicks off at Tannadice, Georgios Giacomakis could be confirmed as an Urawa Reds striker. It looks as if the deal should be going through. He's gone for the medical, £4 million or so for him, and Celtic lose a striker, but they've obviously got O in from South Korea. Yeah,
I think $4 million is reasonable for Celtic. I think the initial fees we're talking about $2 million, $2.5 million, which I thought was very, very cheap.
Yeah,
from Celtic. It's not like Celtic not to get the best possible fee for their players, and I think $4 million is a bit more reasonable. He's going to go over there. I still think it's a strange move, but he might be going over there and doubling his money. And as we've spoke about before, he's 28 years old. This is his last big move. He wants to get as big a contract as he can and secure his future for himself and his family. So, listen, you don't begrudge anyone that, but I still think that he's good enough to play at a better level than that, or a better club than that. But you bring Owen for £2.5 million, completely different profile, young, 21 years old, got a lot of potential to sell on, and you get rid of more of a polished, finished article in Giacomakis. But I think the Celtic fans trust Ange Postecoglou. They've seen, in the transfer market and recruitment that he's done very, very well. There's not been many misses. There's been a lot more hits. So I think they'll just go with it. But there's certainly no room for three of them. I think that Giacomakis has got to go before the window closes.
Yeah, well, back at the end of August at Tannadice, it was Dundee United 0, Celtic 9. And I think eventually Jack Ross paid with his job after a dismal run of results. The Tannadice board said enough was enough. This time around, tomorrow at Tannadice, Ange Postecoglou, the Celtic manager, certainly is expecting a better United.
We go out there and we try and sort of, put our authority on the game, play our football, put the opposition under pressure, and home and away. And sometimes that doesn't yield results like that one, but it doesn't mean we're any less dominant in other games. It's just in that game, we scored a lot of goals. But fair to say, Dundee United, under Liam have improved since then in terms of just their understanding of the football they want to play, and they look a lot more settled as a side. I think since the break they've come back and been really consistent in both their form and their results. So for us, we know it's a challenge, but at the same time, as I said, we've been pretty good as well.
Can't he shake that cough off, Big Ange?
No, the big man can't shake it off. I'm just wondering about it. But I have to tell you, since coming back, it's 3 wins, 2 draws and only 1 defeat against Rangers. So they have actually responded to the manager.
Yeah, they have, and I think Dundee United have got a lot of quality. They've got a lot of quality players up there. Stephen Fletcher, very good player. Tony Watt's a good player. Charlie Mulgrew at the back. They've got a lot of quality in their team. Craig Sibbald in the middle of the pitch. So, listen, they've got several good young players as well. I think Dundee United will be fine. I just think they needed, maybe a fresh face, fresh voice. It wasn't working under Jack Ross, which was unusual for. I think Jack's a very good manager. But unfortunate for him, he's had, back-to-back sackings at Hibs and Dundee United. So I think Liam Fox has come in, he's getting the best out of the players. They're on a good run, as you said. I thought they were decent against Rangers first half. Second half, Rangers obviously win the game comfortably, but I think they'll give Celtic a test tomorrow. But I don't think anyone can see Celtic dropping points against them.
As far as the form is concerned, Dundee United's Liam Fox reckons that they have actually bounced back since that terrible defeat.
Whenever you have results like that one, it can affect people in different ways, and some people bounce back and have got more resilience than others. I think the credit to the group is that now they have improved and they have bounced back. Listen, would I have liked it to happen quicker? Absolutely, but listen, that's football. Nothing's easy. Confidence is huge in football, and sometimes when it goes, it can take a long time to come back, but it can go very, very quickly. It's a strange thing. So, but I do feel the group's in a far better place, and listen, we're really looking forward to the game. I'm ready to get that across to you. We're looking forward to it. We're at home. I believe in the group, and I believe that we can put on a performance.
I've got 4-0 Celtic, Tam. What have you got?
I think I've went 4 as well. I think Celtic they're just too strong now. They're irresistible. Too much quality, too many competition for places. And just got no favourites in there, and I think he's ruthless. I think the players are reacting well to that, and I can't see anything else but a real comfortable Celtic win. Yeah,
okay. You can give us your thoughts on that match tomorrow as well. Quite a lot of people are responding to the news that Aberdeen have sacked Jim Goodwin after that 6-0 defeat today at Easter Road against Hibernian. Aberdeen players, as Tam McManus has mentioned, have chucked it, thrown the towel in, thrown the manager under the bus, and ultimately the manager, Jim Goodwin, has paid for it with his job. And I think a number of people are unhappy the way the board have reacted after the Darvel farce when a team in the 6th tier knocked Aberdeen out of the Scottish Cup by a 1-0, and a lot of people thought that Jim Goodwin would go then. He hasn't. Now he has, because you just cannot put up with a 6-0 defeat, albeit Hibs will be absolutely ecstatic at the goals that they scored today, and Josh Campbell especially with a hat-trick in that match. So that takes a wee bit of the pressure off Lee Johnson as the Hibernian boss. At the bottom end there, you mentioned Dundee United, who have shown a little bit of form, but they're still just one of 4 clubs on 20 points at the bottom of the table. Killy rock bottom because of their goal difference. What about Livingston against Hearts? That's certainly one to look forward to. David Martindale's been in the news because he's one of those managers on possibly, and I'm not even going to say possibly, David Martindale's got the smallest budget easily in that league. And suddenly they find themselves 4th, a chance to close the gap on Hearts if they can defeat them. And a lot of people talking about his half-time team talk from the cup match against Stenhousemuir last week. Somebody recorded it and he was giving his players what for. It was refreshing for a number of people. Certainly I think the manager didn't want to actually dwell on it. He was really kind of looking towards what Livingston were doing. Could they sign somebody in the transfer window? There was a wee sniff that maybe Robert Snodgrass could potentially be lured back to Livingston where it all started for him, but David Martindale realised that he was quickly getting a custard pie on that one.
I try to bring everybody here. I had a conversation with Snoddy, but he was very honest. Listen, I was kind of chancing my arm slightly. I was hoping that sentiment was going to play a part in Robert's decision coming back up the road. He wasn't looking to come back up the road through sentimental reasons. I'm envious that Hearts could recruit him. I'd love a Robert Snodgrass in this building. I'd love him in my changing room, and I'd love the opportunity to coach somebody like Robert Snodgrass. So yeah, I'm envious that Hearts has managed to get Snoddy over the line.
Yeah, that would have been a great signing for them, but of course I think Robert Snodgrass clearly lured by Hearts and a wee bit of extra money undoubtedly. Yeah, he's been a star man for them too.
Yeah, he has. Listen, no disrespect to Livingston, but if Hearts and Livingston are in for years, you're only going to Hearts, and bigger club, more money. So, obviously he thought a wee bit of a pull. He came through the ranks at Livingston, I think, Snodgrass. So, it was never going to happen. But you're right. He's took a while to get fit. He came in at a kind of midpoint of the season. I think the break came, the World Cup break came at the right time for him. It probably made him go into a little mini pre-season at Hearts. Gave him 2 or 3 weeks to get really fit, get sharp, and he's came back from that break in great form. He controls the game in the middle of the park.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just looking there. Thank you very much to so many of you. I was just checking there. Thank you to so many of you who are on our Facebook as well watching the programme. I thought we'd throw it out on Facebook as well as YouTube. It's
great. 2 different chats in YouTube chat and the Facebook chat.
Absolutely, which is well, the reason why there's a different chat is because in Facebook it's totally. Apparently you're getting battered on both of them. But thank you for that for our producer. That's the best line of the day. But the one thing I would say is if you're on Facebook, you're highly unlikely to swear because everybody can see your profile. You want to try and conduct yourself properly on YouTube until the legislation comes in, Tam. There are people who hide behind a keyboard and are abusive. We do try and ban those people because there's lots of decent people who want to come onto social media and embrace it, give us their opinion, and we will react to it because if you post a message, Tam, we try as much as possible to actually get back to everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. I said it's great.
Yeah.
There's nothing like this. If you want to ask us anything, football, hopefully, and then we'll try our best to answer it.
Yeah, absolutely. You can ask us other questions as well.
Ask us whatever you want.
We'll see.
We'll be 40 on a couple of weeks ago. My pal for Ballarnock.
Of course, who mentioned things.
There's now witness protection actually after that.
Yeah.
He's revealed his real name on YouTube.
This is the other thing about it, yeah, so they all know him now. Dave Cunningham says David Martindale for the Aberdeen job. Dave's a regular watcher of the show, and I don't think that would be a bad name. I'm a huge fan of him. I really rate David Martindale. He was in here as a guest, he was great.
Yeah, as I said, I think that a lot of Aberdeen fans wouldn't mind that. I think that they think that their players are pampered and chucked it and not working hard enough and no playing for the jersey. I think if wee Davey went in there and got amongst them, then I think they would certainly know that they had to go out and perform and put the graft in. So I think that David Martindale will be on a list at Aberdeen, but whether he wants to give up what he's got at Livingston, where he's got complete control over ins and outs, then that's his call. But I think there is going to come a time, if David Martindale keeps getting results and keep punching above his weight at Livingston, that there's going to be a time where he's going to have to say, listen, I've done enough at Livingston, I've done all I can. It's time for me to go to a bigger club. Yeah,
Aberdeen should be a team battling away for the third force, but they're not. Hearts are there, out on their own. The results have been absolutely superb. They're certainly well pleased at Tynecastle with Robbie Neilson. They take a huge support as well. And, this is a manager who really has high ambitions.
Yeah, I think that's what we always look at this football club, It's about looking up the way, it's about looking forward. We are sitting in a position in the third. If we aim up the way, then we don't need to worry about what's behind us. It's obviously going to be difficult. Rangers and Celtic have a financial advantage over us. But for us, we've got to aim for that. Right at the start of the season, the objective is to try and win the league. And then after that, is to try and finish as high as possible. And we've got to aim for that slot.
Yeah, so there you have it. Robbie Neilson will be hoping that Hearts can get the win over Livingston. I've got them to narrowly win it by 2-1.
Yeah, I think I've went for 1-0 to Hearts. I think that will be a tight game. I think it's never an easy place to go in terms of the support as well. I think Hearts will take 3,000-4,000 there, and they'll really roll the team on. They're riding a crest of a wave at the minute, Hearts, so I can see them winning the game narrowly.
Rangers got a 2-0 win over St Johnstone today. It was a good win with Tavernier scoring from the penalty spot. Glenn Kamara adding the second. St Johnstone were reduced to 10 men. It was Nicky Clark who was sent off for a rash challenge on Ryan Jack. Ryan Jack took a little bit of retribution to one of the St Johnstone players, and many thought that would have merited a red card because it was a similar challenge to the one that Nicky Clark was sent off for. The referee, Willie Collum, decided no, and here we have Callum Davison at the end. He's not a happy manager.
Probably start Nicky Clark one. I thought it was really harsh. I thought the player was getting fouled originally. I thought he's lost his balance a little bit, and as he's gone to ground, he's flicked the ball around. Ryan Jack's come in to him at force, not other way around. So I generally just can't get it. I don't understand it, so a really big decision. I definitely didn't think it was a red card, and then obviously the tackle on Adam, which I thought was really late. It was at speed, it was at force. He's gone to check it. I've seen replays of it. It's gone at speed, at force, he's missed it, he's gone straight leg with studs at Adam's ankle, and it's a yellow card. So there you go, that sums up the game.
Well, not happy.
No, and obviously we've not seen the incidents yet, and we'll be able to comment on it more on Monday, but yeah, it seems as if St Johnstone have, well, according to Callum there, they've been on the end of a couple of poor decisions. If you're going to send one off, obviously we can't really comment on it too much, but judging by Callum there, he thinks both tackles were similar, and one's a red card and one's a yellow card, so we'll find out more obviously when we see it.
Yeah, I believe Dave Cormack has been speaking to Sky Sports after the game, and I think when those comments come out, we will try and get them to you before we get to the end of the programme. But clearly, this is the Aberdeen owner reflecting on the dismal run of results and why he's obviously decided to sack Jim Goodwin. It's fairly obvious to everyone, but why he gave him that extension. I do not know why he gave him a stay of execution time. I can't understand it.
No, listen, I think when you look at the results, it was only going to go one way for Jim. Even if they got a point today or maybe won the game, it was only going to be a matter of weeks before he was back under pressure again. So listen, I think that he's going to be under pressure as well, Dave Cormack. I think that the last two appointments have been poor. They've not worked. He's backed both managers heavily. Stephen Glass had plenty of money to spend. They spent money as well. They've had to pay him and his staff off. They bring Jim Goodwin, they pay compensation to St Mirren, to get Jim up to Aberdeen, and then they've had to pay him off and his staff. And then they've got to recruit another manager and his staff. So it's been a really, really expensive, year and a half for Aberdeen.
Yeah, so he's sacked, and now it's all about who gets the job, Tam, because there will be a number of people. If you get to some of the lesser clubs in the Scottish football, and I've spoken to chief executives, chairman, they say, by the way, you had 50 people applying for this job. Aberdeen is a job that a lot of people will want, and I wonder if this next one is a really, really crucial one. It needs to be someone that again they can get in who's got, I think, a good track record, can take the club and decide, I'm in charge, I'm going to call as much of it as possible here, as is humanly possible. Dave Cormack has to, I think, give a bit here to allow, you know, the new manager. And I'm looking at footage, and he's got to be the loneliest man on earth, but I'm looking at footage of Jim Goodwin just walking across the Easter Road turf there. That is absolutely incredible. The pictures coming out at Easter Road of Jim Goodwin just walking away, who's been sacked. I mean, that is, I've very rarely seen that.
Is he allowed to get back in the bus up back to Aberdeen?
Well, you just don't. I mean, that is the thing about it. You just...
if I was him, I'd be waiting maybe another 20 minutes to make sure the Aberdeen fans had departed the scene, because they are going to be raging. And listen, that's you never want to see anyone losing their job.
No.
But listen, it hasn't been good enough, and managers live and die by results. They know when they get into management that they've got to win games. You'd Stephen Glass for me, Peter, who was a bit of a gamble from Dave Cormack, and you've got Jim Goodwin, who done reasonably well at St Mirren, but neither of them were winners on their CV in terms of management. I wonder if they go and get Neil Lennon. I really do. I wonder if they go and get Lennon and they think, we've went Jim Goodwin, who's a promising young manager. They've went, you know, Stephen Glass, a bit of a gamble, again, young manager. I wonder if they go with the experience of Neil Lennon. You know what you're getting, and he's a winner. You know, he's won the championship at Hibs. He's won various trophies at Celtic as a manager. He won the Cup in Cyprus for Ammonia. So he's out of job. I think that Neil Lennon and Paul Lambert are the two that they would seriously be thinking about now.
Yeah, for me personally, I think there are two of the front runners would be Neil Lennon and David Martindale. If they can take the flak on David Martindale, I think he's well worth it. I like him. I think he's got something, and he's a no-nonsense manager. And boy, do they need something like that. Certainly, that is a chilling. Picture that was coming out of Easter Road of Jim Goodwin just walking across the pitch, having been sacked, and now, having to head home. And of course, the other implication here for Aberdeen is quite simply that they are facing another compensation payout. So it all adds up. And he did actually just tell the BBC, I'm almost lost for words. I saw our fans there today, all 1,700 of them supporting the team. I've been a fan my whole life, and I'm embarrassed, humiliated, is what Dave Cormack says, and he's shocked by the results. Jim is a good man, and he gives his best. I met Jim after the game, and he gave me a hug and simply said, I know it's not good enough. We parted company for obvious reasons. Since coming back from the World Cup, our away form has been abysmal, but our home form has been pretty decent. Some of the players also need to take responsibility. Well, that is always the case with it. There are so many things that I think a lot of people have to look at, and it's quite simply, the players, the recruitment, the structure of the club, and of course, what type of manager that you've got that you can afford. That's the other thing, Tam. You've paid off two managers. You've paid a lot of money in transfers, as you've highlighted. What level are you going to get? What promises can you make that manager?
I don't think they can go and pay compensation to another manager from another club. There might be somebody, in Scotland or in England who's doing particularly well. I don't think they can afford to go and pay 100, 200, 300 grand for somebody.
Tam, you've got 3 days in the transfer window.
I think they've got to get somebody in quickly. Barry Robson's there. Obviously, he's took over before when Stephen Glass left. Maybe he fills in interim.
Scott Brown?
No, I don't think Scott Brown at the minute. No, not for me. I think Bruni's doing okay at Fleetwood. He's doing well there, decent. But I think he's got to get more time than England to see what he's about. But you're looking for somebody to come straight in. I mean, Neil Lennon, Paul Lambert. I mean, a lot of Aberdeen fans might be shouting at the telly now, thinking no. But in terms of Neil Lennon, he's a winner. He's a winner as a manager, Peter, and as a player. And I don't think Aberdeen have got enough winners in that changing room.
Yeah, it's dismal, I think, as far as Aberdeen are concerned. But elsewhere in the Scottish Premiership, we'll try and give you all the full-time results before we go off in the other divisions. But I can tell you that in the Scottish Premiership, it was Hibs 6, Aberdeen 0, Rangers 2, St Johnstone 0, Ross County 3, Cormack 0, and St Mirren 1, Motherwell 0. The story of those games, quite simply, you've heard from Callum Davison. He's not happy with the decision from Nicky Clark getting sent off to Ryan Jack's challenge, which merited only a yellow card. That will be something we'll discuss on Monday's programme. Elsewhere, as well as getting the 3 points from Michael Beale, Yanis Hadji made a return to the Rangers side. Todd Cantwell had his debut. Glenn Kamara scored after James Tavernier had given Rangers the lead from the penalty spot. It was Josh Campbell who got a hat-trick for Hibs in that 6-0 mauling of Aberdeen. Ross County 3, Kilmarnock 0, and a good debut for the loan signing, Eamon Brophy from St Mirren, who's come in there and scored after 10 minutes, set them on their way, and Curtis Main scoring the only goal for St Mirren against Motherwell. It means that at the bottom of the table, it's Cormack who are there on goal difference. Ross County with that win managing to get themselves off the bottom. They're now sitting in 11th position. Then it's Dundee United who play Celtic tomorrow, and then Motherwell who are sitting in 9th position. St Johnstone only 4 points above that battle at the bottom, and then Aberdeen amazingly have 29 points and find themselves in the bottom half of the table after that defeat today. They're out of the cup, and you're asking fans, it needs to be someone also that can ignite the fans' enthusiasm again, because when the fans don't come, that's when it really hurts the finances.
Yeah, that's when it does. That's when the chairman react, when supporters are turning their back on the team and not paying their money. It's going to be interesting to see who they get in. I think it's very late in the transfer window for somebody to come in, particularly maybe if it's Monday. I think Monday's the deadline, or Tuesday, to bring players in, so you've not got a lot of time. I think Aberdeen have got to work quickly.
Yeah, Tuesday.
I don't think that there's any chance Aberdeen getting relegated. I really don't. I think there's the teams at the bottom now, the bottom 3 or 4 are going to be the bottom 2. So
I don't think it's relegation we're talking about. We're looking at them and thinking, can they challenge Hearts for third?
Yeah, no chance.
It didn't materialise.
No chance. I think Hibs will, although they get a great result today. But they've got to get somebody in, Aberdeen. And are they looking at short term? Are they looking to get somebody in to get to the end of the season? Or are they looking to get somebody in for the next 18 months, 2 years? Who knows? But it's a sad day if you're an Aberdeen fan, because I thought Hibs were a bit of a mess now, but I think Aberdeen are even worse.
Yeah, and that picture that's going out at the moment is quite simply something that nobody wants to see, and very rarely do you see a manager who's been sacked with...
There's Aberdeen players running by him.
Well, his former players are walking. I'm looking at pictures coming in of him walking towards what we can only believe would be his car that's parked in the car park.
Yeah, that's where the away team bus parks in that corner where he's walking towards, the away team bus, and sometimes you can get cars in there, whether that's managers, but that's right next to the away end at that far side, so hopefully they're all away, because I'm sure someone would give him abuse. But listen, it's a sad day for him and a family. We forget these guys have got families, they're human beings. He's going to be lower than a snake's belly at the minute, and it's just up to him to try and lift his cell. But end of the day, managers live and die by results, and his haven't been good enough.
He won't be the only one though, Tam, because I'm looking at other people in a predicament which is far more precarious, which is dropping into a championship that's never easy to get out of.
No, it isn't, and there's not a lot of teams that have come straight back up. You look at Dundee, for example. I get relegated with Dundee, must have been 2006, and I think it took them 10 years to get out of the league. So sometimes it's very difficult to get out of there when you drop in. Dunfermline, Falkirk have been in Premier League in recent times, in League One. So sometimes it can be dropping down there, and then Hamilton Accies. So there's a lot of teams that can just go into free fall. So you certainly don't want to be getting into that division if you're a bigger club, a Motherwell or a Kilmarnock, something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's a quick look over all the divisions now and the full-time scores as we get to almost the end of the show. Hopefully you're enjoying it, and you can hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel, and the like and share and follow on our Facebook. Thank you to so many of you who've done that. Let's go to the Scottish Premiership. Confirmation of that result which prompted the sacking of Jim Goodwin at Aberdeen. Hibs 6, Aberdeen 0. Rangers 2, St Johnstone 0, which now reduces the gap at the top to only 6 points between Rangers and Celtic. Ross County 3, Kilmarnock 0. Ross County off the bottom. Killie hit rock bottom in the Premiership. And St Mirren 1, Motherwell 0. Another dismal result for Stephen Hamill and his Motherwell side. That's the Scottish Premiership. As far as the Championship is concerned, it's Cove Rangers 0, Ayr United 5 from last night. Dundee 3, Queen's Park 0, which moves them to within 2 points of Queen's Park. Greenock Morton 1, Arbroath 2, Partick Thistle 0, Hamilton Accies 1, and Wraith Rovers 2, Inverness Caledonian Thistle 2. That's how it looks in the Championship. As far as League One is concerned, it's Airdrieonians 3, Alloa 0, Clyde 1, Dunfermline 1, FC Edinburgh 0, Falkirk 0, and
it was 2-1 to Falkirk.
In fact, it was 2-1. That's a mistake on that one there. My apologies. FC Edinburgh 1, Falkirk 2, Montrose 2, Kelty Hearts 1, Peterhead 1. Queen of the South 0 is how it looks in League One. So that's League One. League Two, confirmation of it. Albion Rovers 0, Forfar 1, Annan Athletic 3, East Fife 0, Dumbarton 1, Bonnyrigg Rose 0, Stenhousemuir 2, Elgin City 0, and Stirling Albion 1, Stranraer 0. So there, confirmation of all the scorelines and the results from the divisions in Scotland, from the Premiership all the way through to League Two. As far as the FA Cup fourth round is concerned, just looking at some of the results, Leeds easily seeing off Accrington Stanley, Leicester edging past Walsall, and it's Blackburn Rovers and Birmingham City. It was 2-2 of all the results. I'm just looking, Tam, to see if there was any potential shocks, but nothing of any great note. Preston North End will take on Tottenham later this evening, as Manchester United will also face Reading. So that's the FA Cup fourth round. But in Scotland, it's really a story of Jim Goodwin sacked, and it's also the debate now on who replaces him as the Aberdeen boss. Who are going to be the favourites? David Martindale, could he be in the running as one of them? Can they lure him away from Livingston? Is he the type of manager that they want up there at Pittodrie? Will it be a Neil Lennon, a Paul Lambert? Could it be someone out of left field that maybe we haven't thought about, Tam?
Yeah, I'm sure it could be. We're just obviously thinking on the spot. You know, if you actually had time to sit down and think about it and go through the leagues and see who's doing well, what managers are doing well, whatever, you could maybe come up with a few other names. But I think he would have guy Duncan Ferguson would have been in the mix, but he's just got a job at Forest Green, but he would have been one. Even Sean Maloney might have been one. You know, he's obviously just took the Wigan job, so there's a few guys who maybe were in the mix and they have just taken jobs up. But as I said, it's going to be a crucial recruitment.
Tam, would you believe it? We can hear now from the owner of Aberdeen, Dave Cormack, who only in the last few minutes has addressed the press in the press room at Easter Road.
You know, the results basically since we came back from the World Cup have been wholly unacceptable. And, you know, I saw our fans there today. You know, 1,700 of them there today. I used to be one. I was with 5,000 fans back in 1980 when we won the league, right? We went 5-0. And I feel for them. Personally, I feel like I've let down the supporters. You know, the thing for me, and by the way, I met with Jim, and Jim's a thoroughly decent guy, as most of you guys know, and he came up, gave me a hug, and said it wasn't good enough.
Yeah, not good enough, and then obviously the owner has to make the decision to axe him.
Yeah, listen, you know, it's never an easy one, but I think Jim would have known, you know, with that result there was no way back, and I think it would have made it easier for the chairman. I think if it was a, you know, maybe a draw or a narrow defeat, you know, and he's having to go in and do that, but 6-0, there was no way back for Jim. And listen, the next one's crucial. The Aberdeen fans will now be turning their attention to the owner. These last two appointments have been terrible. They haven't worked out. They're paying out a lot of money. You know, this one's crucial, or else the pitchforks will be outside his door. You know, never mind the managers.
Yeah, the other thing I was going to say to you as well, which is crucial, is there's a midweek card and they're at home to St Mirren on the 1st of February, and I think from now until Monday. He's got to get a manager in, and realistically, I think he's got to, whoever he gets in, he's got to say, by the way, you're in, the window will close, this is what you have to inherit, and you have to try and get something out of them to get us to the summer.
Yeah, well, listen, I think you've seen when the Aberdeen, the semi-final against Rangers, I think you've seen that Aberdeen are capable on their day of being a decent team, of being maybe the fourth best team. You know, I think Hearts are the third, but between Aberdeen and Hibs, I know it was 6-0 today, but you know, over the course of a season, I don't think there'll be much in it between the two of them. So I think it's crucial for Aberdeen to get a manager in quickly and to try and get a couple of players in. But I don't think it's the worst pool of players you're going to inherit. I think there's a bit of quality in there. I think defensively you've got to get in and get them organised and get them harder to break down, harder to beat. But I think going forward, I think Aberdeen have got some decent players.
Yeah, you can give us your thoughts on that. We will, throughout all and across all our social media, you can hear from the Rangers manager Michael Beale. You'll hear more from Callum Davison. Obviously, you'll hear from Lee Johnson, who will be delighted at that 6-0 win. Takes a little bit of pressure off the Hibs boss. And over and above that, you'll hear from St Mirren boss Stephen Robinson, Motherwell manager Stephen Hamill as well, across all our social media, Twitter. You can go onto PLZ Soccer's website at plzsoccer.com, and if you download the PLZ Soccer app, all the breaking stories are at your fingertips. You can watch a lot of unique content. If you hit the subscribe button, you'll be part of the football family here on PLZ Soccer. It's utterly unique, of course, right across Scottish football and beyond. You'll get UK stories, European football and world football, as well as being able to watch all our archive material. So why not hit the subscribe button, and you get the chance to win some fabulous prizes. We'll be announcing the winner of the Jota canvas that's signed by Jota himself, thanks to the artist Gio Thompson. But next Monday, this Monday coming actually, not only will we announce the winner of the canvas, but we'll give you the chance to win a Real Madrid replica shirt with Luka Modric's number on the back. So it's all to look forward to. We'll maybe get the thoughts of Adam Binney just before we go. He was indeed at Ibrox today watching that game, and he'll be giving us the thoughts of Michael Beale before we go. But give us your thoughts on it as well. Some good prizes actually we were just mentioning there, Tam. There's more than a few to come, and some belters.
Yeah, there is. Listen, Modric Real Madrid strip, brilliant. As I said, if you can fit into it, it looks quite tight, it looks small.
Yeah, I'm just going to say to you, I think we've got Adam Binney, who's there at Ibrox for us. We'll hear from Michael Beale on our social media, Adam, but I would imagine happy man with players coming back, a debutant, and of course 3 points.
Yeah, definitely happy with debutant Todd Cantwell, but I don't think really any of the rest of it. He didn't seem too pleased with the performance, said that players done
Ibrox. He's still there though. We'll try and persevere with him with a bit of luck. He's just going to come back in a couple of seconds, but maybe that's he's back with us. Adam, you were talking there about a man who's far from happy, Michael Beale. 2-0 and 3 points.
Yeah, and I'm far from happy with the new Wi-Fi setup at Ibrox. It was a new one we had to connect to today, and it's done me in already. But yeah, Michael Beale not happy with the performance again, as he has been recently. It's in the final third that seems to be killing Rangers. The second half, I was speaking to everyone in the gantry, and everyone was almost falling asleep. It was pretty boring to watch in the second half again, especially against the 10-man St Johnstone. But overall, he'll be happy with 3 points. That's 9 wins from 10, 1 draw, and it's a positive start to life as Rangers manager.
Yeah, just on that point, Adam, what was his thoughts on seeing Yanis Hadji back for Rangers?
Yeah, I said Yanis Hadji is nowhere near making 90 minutes. There was some members of the Romanian media actually there for the match today. He was asked about that. So Yanis Hadji is back. This was a date that he had in mind for a while. Michael Beale even admitted that he might have rushed this one. He played longer than what he'd hoped to play today. But yeah, he won't be involved from the start on Wednesday night. You might see another 15-20 minute cameo again. But great to see him back in a Rangers shirt for Michael Beale, apart from maybe his first 2 touches. I'm sure he was a little bit dodgy.
Yeah, last point I'm just going to make to you, Adam, on the flip side of this, is an unhappy Callum Davison. Was the challenge from Ryan Jack, if Nicky Clark's been sent off, was the challenge from Ryan Jack worthy of a red in your mind?
Well, I'm no referee, but I think it was a red card from what I've seen. I've seen it back once, and I just think the pace that Ryan Jack's travelling at, he's absolutely steaming into the challenge there. I think the one with Nicky Clark, if that's a red card, as Michael Beale even said himself, there was no intent in that. It looked as though he was getting fouled initially, actually, by the Rangers player before he goes over the top of the ball and hits Ryan Jack. I think it was maybe a bit of a revenge challenge from Jack, if you like, and he goes into Montgomery, smashes into him, and I think if Nicky Clark's seeing red, Ryan Jack should have been sent off too.
Yeah, okay, brilliant. Great to get Adam right at the end there and get his thoughts on it as well, because quite simply, you get a situation where players do get upset if they get a challenge that could put them out for, if you get one of those challenges that puts you out for more than a few months, so you can understand Ryan Jack's frustration, but as Adam said there, he should have gone too.
Yep, we're still to see both tackles, but you're right, sometimes you can be steaming if somebody comes in and smashes you and gets sent off. Sometimes you're a wee bit hot-headed, the blood's running hot, and you get into another tackle, and listen, we've yet to see it again, but if what Adam's saying is right there, then I'm sure it'll be a lot of controversy, and I'm sure we'll be talking about it Monday.
Yeah, let's talk about it with Ruffy, because he's back, he's fit, he's healthy, he's back with us on Monday. Tam will be with me, Ruffy will be here 4 o'clock till 5. You can watch it at your leisure, depending on where you're living, near and far. Lots of people watch it a little later on when they've got a room to themselves, or even a man cave, dare I say it. Thanks to Blair, thanks to Sean, our backroom team, and of course from Tam and myself. Join us on Monday with Ruffy if you can. Thanks to all our reporters on a day which really will be dominated by the main headline from Easter Road. An emphatic win for Lee Johnson's Hibs, but the downside of Aberdeen losing by 6-0 is Jim Goodwin has been sacked by the owner Dave Cormack. Aberdeen now looking for a new manager to try and restore a little bit of fight in the side and maybe battle to get into the top half of the table. We'll discuss that right across our social media. You can get it on all our channels. More from Dave Cormack, a little bit from Lee Johnson. We'll certainly hear from Michael Beale and Callum Davison, and we'll be looking ahead to Dundee United against Celtic and Livingston against Hearts on PLZ Soccer social media. Hit the subscribe button. Have a great Saturday night. Thanks for watching.